Well, that's freaking cool as hell. Welcome back to Kinda Funny's John Wick in Review. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes. I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle himself, Andy Cortez.
I'm thinking we're back.
It's Christmas in March, Joey Noel.
Yeah.
And the producer slash seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Whoa.
A lot
Bill and Ted's.
There's going to be a lot of that today. Something tells me. Of course, this is Kinda Funny's In Review. Each and every week, we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. If you've loved a franchise, hated a franchise, chances are we have ranked, reviewed, and recapped it for your pleasure. You can check all of that out over on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we will be right there for you. Little housekeeping for you. The next couple weeks are going to be a little weird schedule-wise with In Review. We're going to be doing the new Super Mario Brothers movie. Stay tuned to Joey's post about scheduling for all that stuff, but there might be some weirdness coming up in the next week or two, so please stay tuned. Of course, you can also get the show ad-free and watch live as it's being recorded by going to patreon.com/kindafunny. Just like our Patreon producers, Nathan Lamoth, Tripod Plus Plus, Trent Barry, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew have done. Thank you all so very, very much for allowing us to talk about amazing movies like John Wick. Today, we're talking about John Wick Chapter 4. This one had a runtime of 2 hours and 49 minutes. It's a long one. It's a chunker, some would say. Some would say not long enough. It was directed once again by Chad Stahelski, who did the entire quadrilogy at this point. This one had a release date of March 24th, 2023, which is today as of recording this. And it had a budget of $100 million, but things are looking really good with an $8.9 million opening preview night domestically, which is the franchise best so far. So things are looking real good for the boy, John Wick. Now, I want to start with Nick Scarpino. It's been a long time since we've talked about John Wick. We did the in review of 1 through 3 years ago, it feels like. And here we are finally getting a new one. My first one in theaters. So that was a big moment. But I want to start with you. What did you think of John Wick Chapter 4?
Just a great addition to the series. Super fun. I think, again, these movies are they're like Top Gun Maverick. They know exactly what they're trying to do, and they just deliver. These are some of the best action movies that I've ever seen. Was the plot of this movie, could that easily be summed up in 3 sentences? Yes. And do they know that going into it? Absolutely. It's about the visuals. It's about the kinetic energy of the fight scenes. It's about the choreography. It's about looking at Keanu Reeves and just having a great time watching him act. And then just having all these incredible side characters come in and just fucking chew up scenery like Lawrence Fishburne and the guy that plays the Continental manager.
Ian McShane.
Yeah. Those guys are just having a great time coming in, kind of doing their scenes. I loved this movie. I thought it was, at certain points, you started feeling its length a little bit. You know, I do think that some of it maybe, dare I say, some of the action sequences could have been cut down a little bit. But you get a nice little payoff at the end, and it was just a fun, good time.
Joey Noel.
Man, there's just really no one else doing it like the team that's doing John Wick. It's insane how good these movies are. John Wick feels like he has like 50 words in this entire movie.
I think easily. Danielle asked me that too. She was like, "How many lines do you think he had?" I was like, "Well, I think it's more like words, not lines. I don't think there was full lines of dialogue in this whole thing."
Yeah, he's so good. The thing that I'm always really impressed by with the John Wick movies, compared to another series that I love and adore, Fast and Furious, is that they do such a good job of integrating new characters in a movie without making it seem like really heavy-handed. And I think it's because they don't over-explain like anything in the movie. It's just like, these are the things, this is what it is, it's part of the rules, and you're just like, okay, this is part of the rules. So I was like, I'm always really impressed by how much I like the new characters that we get every time. Donnie Yen I thought was great. Nobody I also really liked. I think it's so great. The music in this, 10 out of 10. The way that they integrated the like sound of like the ringing in your ears with the music, perfect, chef's kiss. I will say it's a little long, and it's probably like my least favorite like plot of any of the movies, probably. But I still had a great time.
Andy Cortez.
Smooth kicks ass, man. This is just a fun freaking time. I at many moments am just smiling and kind of like I got tears in my eyes from like just happiness and laughter. And this movie just goes all out with its action sequences. It's so hard to judge these movies against each other because I really feel like you are kind of putting against the other action sequences. Like, well, this one has like 2 10 out of 10 action sequences and like 1 5 out of 10, but the other one has like 3 9 out of 10 to action sequences. It's really hard to judge these movies. Yeah, I feel like timeline wise, this movie takes place like within 30 minutes at least.
Yeah.
Like it's just like these are so condensed. But everybody, like, I don't know, it just kind of delivered on everything it needed to, and then some. Like, we got that freaking Hotline Miami top-down action sequence was just something to experience in the theaters. Theater was really, really loud. Those gunshots were, like, I think I've... In the future, when I have, like, hearing loss, I think I can look back at yesterday.
Oh, we'll know exactly why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right off the rip. Bah!
Yeah. Yeah, the sound was like kind of nuts in the theater, but I appreciate the little butt blasters, Tim, the little like
butt kickers.
Whenever the butt
Butt
blasters
blasters.
now available at Sonic.
Oh my god.
The acoustics, the visuals, the sound,
You're
all
seeing it in Dolby, is that why?
yeah, all these new characters that were added. I even though I loved Mr. Nobody, Shamir Anderson, who plays the tracker, I do wish that he was more of a notable name so that we could kind of be like, oh, it's this fucking guy. You know what I
He
mean?
had that vibe for sure.
Yeah,
I
no.
feel like he's gonna be one that we're gonna see in the future and be like, oh fuck, it's the guy from John Wick.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, he kicked ass. I kind of wish we had the same thing. Like, oh, fuck, Halle Berry's in this movie. That's kind of random, you know?
Like, damn.
Yeah. So many awesome characters, great visuals. I mean, I know that this is like not the exact same team that worked on the first 3 because I know that the John Wick team went to go work on something else. So I was always kind of headed into the 4th one, very worried about how are they going to carry the torch, and I think they just surpassed all expectations. This movie is a must-see in theaters. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Tim, how about you, man?
Absolutely incredible. Like, I just freaking loved it. My face hurts from smiling that hard, that long.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
honestly, 3 hours like flew by. Like, I want to see this again as soon as I possibly can. It is
And
just
it's this weekend.
it's just pure cool. Like, it's just like raw style, and like it reminds me so much. And it's that funny back and forth of I play Sifu, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of John Wick. I watch John Wick, I'm like, it reminds me of Sifu. But the level of commitment to just what's the coolest way we could do this right now? What's the best location? It feels like they almost like do the set scouting, location scouting before they even think about what the movie is. And they're like, well, that place looks cool.
lights.
That place looks cool. This is going to be the red fight scene. This is going to be the green fight scene. And it's just like there's so much love put into the choreography of the fight, the way that the camera moves, the way that they move around the locations, the constantly ratcheting up of escalation of the places they are, what they're doing in those places, how it's lit, and the weapons being used with the sound design, with the music. It's just like, dang. I couldn't believe how many of the set pieces started and then didn't finish for 50 minutes. This really kind of just feels like 3 50-minute set pieces where once they start, you're like, oh shit, here we go. Like, there is no bathroom break. There is no like downtime at all. And yes, because of that, it kind of could just become at all times, and you like can kind of forget why we're going somewhere or like where we're coming from and all that. But that's not the fucking point of these things. We were talking about this as we left. Like, I feel like the plot of this one is like so whatever, but the lore of it, the depth of it, like it's shallow but wide. Like there's so much. It's Elden Ring-esque in the sense of this is not like, I think Top Gun Maverick works because it is simple as hell. There's not many plots going on. There's one goal that they have. They have one mission. They got to do this one thing, and that's it. This movie is the opposite of that, of just like there's a bazillion things going on, but really all that matters is getting people from one place to another and having them be in incredibly cool situations. And
Shout out Clancy Brown. Shout out Bill Skarsgård.
Dude.
Awesome.
Dude, great characters. I love the the anime back and forth, the team ups, the mismatches, the like so much fucking shit. But I could not believe after the first action scene of this movie that they can keep going and hit that pace, and they just kept going. They like I feel like this movie just for me maintained a like. This is why I go to theaters. This is such a movie that you need to see on as big a screen, as loud speakers as possible. So damn fucking cool.
100% agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There was a moment where Mike looked over to me. I think it was after the Osaka Continental fight, and he goes, "That was 40 minutes straight." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, it was." Like when he goes up into the armor room, I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna keep going." Keep going. I will say, I slept like a baby last night. There is something to be said for pacing in movies with action sequences, and I know they just threw all that. So they were like, "We don't care. That's not what this is about." But there is a moment where you're like, I kind of want them to take. It's like the criticism of the Transformers. Remember that when the movie came and artists were going like, "Hey, there's no place for your eye to rest on this. There's no, it's just
noise.
hard to look at. It's just noise the entire time." It started dipping into that a little bit, but having said that, all the John Wicks do that, and that's kind of the point. Is like, how far can we push this? And like the staircase sequence is a perfect example. I'm like, oh god, I don't really want to watch him fight his way up the staircase. I want the conclusion of this. But then when he tumbles down, I'm like, oh, that was just so worth it.
So perfect,
it's so fucking
man.
worth it. And now we got the build up back to him getting back up there. It was just it's art in such a weird, superficial, but also incredibly deep way.
What's the movie that the World War II movie that is being made by the same
Sisu?
Sisu.
I think that's what it was called.
So if y'all watch the trailers, I'm sure you may have seen this trailer in other movies you've gonna see, but there's from the studio that brought you John Wick, this movie called Sisu, and it's an old man who finds gold, and it's in the 1940s, and he ends up getting kind of intercepted by Nazis. It turns out this man is a Nazi machine, like Nazi killing machine, right? He's just stabbing people, doing all this crazy sort of stuff. And I was, vengeance is gold, and here we go. And immediately, Tim, I was like, what if the John Wick studio just does like, what if they're just doing their Assassin's Creed, but for John Wick? And like,
I think that's what they're doing.
And at the end, like, this guy ends up meeting the high table, or he ends up
like
creating the
John
high
Wick's
table. You know what I mean? Like, it's
one of the families.
and we just start to see like different eras of like now it's like 1980s LA, and now it's like whatever the fuck. Like, there's all these different kind of eras that you could play with. But yeah, I love the lore of this world. I love how fantastical everything is. It's set in New York, right? And then we see a lot of it in France, and that's where these movies take place. But like the idea that there's so many, like, we go to this dance sequence, right? And I'm just like, who are these people at this big rave? What are their days today? What are their day-to-days looking like? Like, what do they do when they're not here dancing
you work
for hours? So what do you do?
2 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the morning.
All they're doing is
They did remind me of NPCs in a Hitman game, which is hilarious because you're like, all this stuff's happening and you have to do that one. You have to trigger the one shot to actually get them to scatter. Because there's a moment where someone's getting murdered in front of him, and the guy's like, "Yeah."
Oh no,
yeah,
I would say that this movie did it better than any of the other ones. Where
like,
the other ones,
oh.
nobody even pays attention to the fights. I feel like in this one, there was actually people like, "Oh shit, like what the hell," you know? By the way, that dude, I don't know who that guy was. He looked like he was a guy in a suit that made him like heavy set, right? He was like with the gold teeth, with the gold teeth.
Yeah,
I don't know who this guy was. Another kind of character I wish was somebody that we knew of. I wish it was like an actor of
I
note.
thought it was going to be a reveal where it's like Vinnie Jones or something like that. Like, you know, someone that we know that's like has done stuff like that. Because that's where it really started feeling like an X-Men movie or like a comic book movie where he gets the guy with the gold teeth.
Loved him.
And he was just like this juggernaut of a human being that couldn't be taken down.
Dude, it was great.
Destiny fans will understand. This guy looks like somewhere where like you go to him to go pick up bounties, because like just the way he's sitting down, Joe, you have the lighting that he had behind him. It just looked like
he looks like it's like Kingpin.
Straight up.
Yeah.
He was a video game mini boss. Like this movie was 100%. Just so well positioned to be that and like to deliver on that fun. Like that fight scene with him and how long he's just taking hits, he's getting stabbed left and right. Like all that stuff just kept adding up where every hit he takes, we're just like you could see the health bar going down. Like, it's just so cool.
He even had his, what do they call, what's the phrase when the boss has like a second wind? Where like the goes down.
Oh, like another second phase.
Yeah, second phase. He had a second phase where he comes back. You're like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be impossible to take down. There was that sequence, and then there was, of course, I think the standout sequence for the entire movie was the Dragon's Breath sequence.
Oh my god,
where it's
top down.
The Call of Duty shotgun.
that put me into a hypnotic trance. Where I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this on film before. I mean, people have done that top down before. You've seen it a little bit, but for that long and with that choreography, and it was mesmerizing to watch.
It really was. It goes for like 30, 45 seconds, and then it centers. We see some cool action, and then it goes back and you just get even more. I'm just like, oh, y'all motherfuckers know what you had. Y'all just invented some shit.
That was some pretty special stuff.
They're kind of like laying down the ingredients, right? Because we see the hints that, shocker, much like Ethan Hunt is always disavowed, John Wick is always being he's always being hunted after. What's the word I'm looking for? No, but what's the cool word? Like when they say excommunicado. He's always being hunted. He's always being the bounty is constantly going up for him, right? And we see these dudes prepping the Dragon's Breath shotguns. And I know Nick recognized that because we know that from Call of Duty. And we know that fucking little 12-year-olds are just going to destroy us with these stupid fire shotguns. They're going to jump into a room, hopping and just but it was so perfect for that moment because it's the only real way to visually show gun fire
top down
because like of the actual fire coming out of these shotgun shells. So like from the top down, it's just straight up a video game. You're getting that Hotline Miami. Here's where the action's actually happening. The moment where the dog jumped over Keanu, fuck,
so
man.
Fucking cool.
It goes down as like what, like, and I love that feeling of you're 10 seconds into this scene, and then you go, oh, they're doing this. Like, I wasn't sure, and here we are now, and you kind of don't realize it until you're in it. It is, man, one of the best sequences I've ever seen in a movie theater.
That sequence was really, really cool. Notably, the Arc du Triomphe sequence where he's just
the driving
flipping people onto cars. Dude. Was really, really cool. And then, that
intercut, though, like that scene was so perfect to me because, like, they did license music, right? We have it playing on the radio, and we go through multiple songs as they're up in the bounty, and as the cars just keep seemingly going faster and faster in the circle, causing more and more chaos for all of them. The dog jumping on the different cars and shit. I was like, this is so fucking rad. And
what a
couple
cool
weeks
device.
Ago, we had with Shazam, and I was talking, or last week, I guess, and I was talking about Holding Out for a Hero, which is like, this is the most overplayed fucking thing ever. Dude, like,
what?
Holding Out for a Hero? In every movie?
Oh.
In Shazam, how they ever, like...
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a sequence where they fight to it. And it's like,
Joey, no, I know what the song is. I love it.
Joey and I have both seen Footloose.
Thank you.
Okay.
We like they
understand where that
it's overdone, and also you don't deserve this. So that was kind of the
issue.
The young kids don't understand.
I hate everybody. But on March 12th...
You don't even know one of the best uses of it either.
I am aware. I am aware. But I tweeted, there's something about the Rolling Stones Paint It Black. Just randomly tweeted that because I was thinking about the song. When
did you do that?
March 12th.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so 12 days ago. And then when this shit fucking hit, and it's this French version, and it is nasty. I was like, just in heaven. This was like the dopest fucking licensed use of a song in a movie I've seen in such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't on board with the first one when they played, I forget what it was. It's like the 60s song right before it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this because it's like, for me, it breaks the immersion because the way that they do the world building, it seems so kind of removed from like modern or from like current our reality that when they bring in those like modern touches like that, it kind of just breaks the illusion for me. But then they play Paint Black and it's just like, I take back everything I just thought for the last 45 seconds.
I loved all that. I loved the fact that they're little, like, I love the little moments of lore in this, and I wish we had gotten more because I love that world building, but I loved the women, the rockabilly women in the Eiffel Tower. Yep. Like, that's where their base of operation is, and she's a DJ, and she's there. We just see, like, the close-up of her mouth as she's talking into the mic and all that stuff. Little touches like that are just so stylistically fun and so creative, and that's really what the movie is about. I do wish we had seen more of, like, it was cool to see in the Osaka Continental. I like being centered in that world. I like having that as a device for the action to stop and for the characters to interact and get more lore. And I did, my only kind of disappointment with the movie, and it's not really a disappointment because I'm sure if they make another one, this is what it's going to be about. But I was expecting the high table. I was expecting to literally see a table with like 10 to 12 people.
20 feet high.
Yeah, you know.
I wanted a gauntlet of him going through each
I
of
thought that's what it was
people,
going to be about too. I thought he was going to have to kill all 12 of them until he got to the end of it. But instead we got Bill Skarsgård. Who was great. And before I forget, shout the fuck out to the costume designer in this movie.
Oh,
because
dude.
everything that everyone wore,
His little
including
chain,
armor, all
like
that
pocket
stuff.
chain.
He's he's always sparkling like a little angel, like a little vampire angel. All that stuff looked great. The like samurai armor they wore in the Osaka hotel was fucking sick. And then also just the fact that they've built up this concept that like everyone's shit is made of Kevlar. So like bullets really don't matter anymore until they matter. I thought it's such a fun device to play with. Yeah. Like literally everyone's just running around just shooting each other. And it's at first you're like, oh, that's interesting that John Wick has that superpower, but then you have to find a way, obviously, video game design to like even it out. So we have bigger levels of challenge, and not everyone has it. But I remember reading an article just on the costume front. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Donnie Yen was interviewed, and they said when they approached him, they wanted him to dress more like what you would think a stereotypical character like that was. Like if you had made that character in the 90s, he would look a certain way. And he was like, I don't want to look that way. I want to look cool. I'll only do this movie if I look cool. And man, if I don't want turtlenecks now, turtlenecks and the turtleneck blazer look with the big ass glasses, I'm like, dude, he looks so cool.
Well, hold on though.
I'll say it right now.
Keep going. No, keep going.
Donnie Yen stole the show.
Oh,
I think he was
so good.
Far and away the best part of this whole movie. Watching him do action sequences and having to sort of like the choreography they had where he had to like tap on things and figure out where people were, and the creativity behind that was so fun to watch that I wish this movie was about him almost. No disrespect to Keanu, he was great in it, but obviously the producers knew what they had. They were like, what if we made Donnie Yen like kind of the focus of every scene that he's in? And it just blew me away. I love that character. I want more of that character.
Is it a wig? I don't know. Wigging out with Scar P. No, the wig he had before he like got done up and like got the haircut, really bad.
Look,
when he was like first being asked to come and which by the way, I love all the lore of that because naturally you're like, how is this blind man so feared, right?
Yeah,
and then like. You don't have to really be explained it. You just know that Bill Skarsgård wants him, and that's why he's so feared.
Yeah.
You don't really need to see it. You suspend your disbelief, and but yeah, when he's in that initial talks and he's like, "I'm not doing this," and he's like, "No, you're doing this." Like he was like, "I don't got it anymore." He's like, "Oh fuck yeah, you do. That's why I want you."
Yeah,
you know.
I know you got it.
But that wig he was wearing, Joe, he had like you could like it's always the worst Tim when like the wig like kind of sticks out in the back and you see like. The hairs in the back kind of floating off the neck. The worst, Nick. I hate that shit.
There was some stuff going on with the hair in this movie.
Man, this guy has totally flipped sides.
Some people
He's been bought off.
Some people have some hair pieces that might have been put in there. I'm not sure what's going on with Keanu Reeves' hair.
Yeah,
I think it was his
move
real
the
hair,
same way
but it doesn't move the same way.
It doesn't
it used
move
to.
the same way.
Like it felt like very rigid where it was like kind of just stuck and it didn't. I feel like before he would just like
it was CG.
We're just gonna say on this one, we're gonna give it a pass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy's been bought off. This is unbelievable.
We enjoyed the movie so much, and stylistically, all the hair went along with the movie itself.
This guy's been bought off.
We're gonna hand wave that one.
Can I just say, Tim, that like this is the year of the final act.
Oh yeah.
Like the final act of this movie, Avatar 2, like goddamn, those alone could just be standalone movies. I had such a fun time with this.
I brought up Maverick earlier, but there was something special in Top Gun Maverick that is unique to that movie, which is when Tom Cruise goes through and does the path by himself, right?
Yeah.
And in the theaters, there's like an elation that you feel and the people around you feel that like it's like a unique thing that it's like, wow, that is such a special thing that movies can make you feel, and like they fucking pulled it off. I feel like for the last like 45 minutes of this movie, they had that as well. Like the stair scene, like I'm right there with you, where it's like the setup for it as they're going up, it's like, all right, cool, just more. But him falling down, I think everyone had this shared sense of like,
laughed and like,
fucking, oh shit, here we go again. Like, let's get back up there. And when Donnie Yen and the two of them are going up.
But that line beforehand where he's like, John, I'm gonna need you to get those stairs in 3 minutes.
Dude,
it's like, I know.
It was great. Like, I just felt like that was one of those shared movie experiences that like everyone that watches this movie is gonna like hit that point. And it all starts with the Hotline Miami shot. Like once that starts, you're like, y'all elevated this. Like you've pushed through the ceiling of what action movies can be.
And say what you will about like, I know there's a lot of criticism that on social media that American audiences like are too loud in theaters and like all the cheering and stuff. I know a lot of people like aren't fans of that, and for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of that in the theater. But more and more, it's like we as a collective in the theater became more and more okay with kind of being like, oh shit, what the like I don't know if I've talked more during a movie during action scenes that like you couldn't hear, right? I wasn't like yelling or anything, but I am just constantly going like, oh my fucking god, oh shit.
It's hard not to like verbally react to a lot of what's happening.
Dude, like, and I think initially it starts off, Tim, with the fucking dude that gets shot in the leg with the arrow against the wall and then gets shot in the head and then his body hangs in the air. God damn, dude, this movie just brings it. I just want to watch it again immediately.
Yeah. There's so many different moments. There's so many different things that he does, like with choreography that go by so fast. And I'm like, oh, make a mental note of that. And then it's just gone because there's another cool thing that happens. Even John Wick's fighting style, which I think they really did a great job this time of differentiating his style versus Donnie Yen's style, I think went really like suited his physical abilities because Keanu was, he's not moving as fast as he used to these days, but it's fun because
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I've never seen him move faster than this.
I think he's better in this movie than he was in the prior movie because I think he actually was in better shape in this movie. You can see
he was in much better shape,
way better shape than he was in John Wick 3. But the problem is when you put him in the same sequence with Donnie Yen. This is no disrespect to Keanu. I love you, Keanu, but motherfucker, Donnie Yen moves fast. He moves so fast. You're like, what is he? Did he just do something? Like even
I do
he
think
moved
they,
over.
I
And she
do
was
think
like,
they were
is he
speeding
like
up.
a martial artist? I was like, yeah, well, he's kind of a martial artist. Yeah.
I think I felt like a lot of I think I noticed some Donnie Yen sequences like being sped up a little bit to kind of exaggerate it.
Damn, that was real, bro.
They might have sped it up by like, they might have done a 1 or 2% of it.
That was actually Keanu falling off the 4-story window, falling onto a van. But again, vans are really cushiony.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what
There's
we've
more-
learned from Dominic Toretto.
Yeah, like if you're gonna fall on something, you want to fall in a van, and Keanu knew that because there's more give to him. You have a lot more to kind of
100%
fall into. You know?
Speaking of give, you can give us money on patreon.com/kindoffunny. You get the show ad-free. But for everyone else, here's a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. Try it free for 30 days is enough time to try and completely forget about a subscription or service. Before you know it, you're paying for a subscription that you don't use every single month. With Rocket Money, you can change that with a few quick taps. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and it helps you lower your bills. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Rocket Money helped me realize I had a few subscriptions that I just completely don't even need anymore. And now I'm saving that cash money, baby. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. One more time, rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Do you want to look as cool as I look? Yes, you do. And you can. You can take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an unbeatable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn in my life. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusively for you listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can go to shadyrays.com and use the code KindaFunny. You can get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Promo code KindaFunny at shadyrays.com. Hit me with the plot.
Here is the plot. His name is John Wick, and he. No, hold on. I practiced this so much. Here is the plot for John Wick. He's thinking. He's back.
Here's the plot. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I also love that Andy practiced that for hours before we went live, and it sounded so good, and the instrument sounded so perfect, and then you go with that fucking weird ass. Like, why did it sound that way?
It was supposed to be like an electric guitar, like a clean guitar, but also like I'm gonna blame Ken a little bit with the volume. It's throwing me off. Kevin, I'm not trying to blame you.
Volume thing. There's a volume thing.
We like checked it out for like 2 minutes before we went live.
Here's the plot. Ladies and gentlemen, John Wick Chapter 4. We start with just a svelte Keanu Reeves punching a board that has rope wrapped around it, just like Kickboxer. That's right, Andy. I know you were thinking about that.
I was just thinking about that.
The 1990s classic Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then, of course, Lawrence Fishburne coming in, just having a great time. Larry Fishburne coming in, just being like, we're ready for you. And then lights a fire or some cool shit like that. And John's like, yeah, it's time, or whatever he said.
Because he's like, are you ready? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved this opening. Like, it was just so like, we're here, y'all.
We're done. We're ready to rock.
Because, like,
we're ready
honestly,
to take our revenge.
You know, we watch freaking movies every goddamn week, and it's like we do in review to lead into it. And so a lot of time we do the rewatches, catch up, or whatever. But the last couple, it's like, it's been a while since we've seen Shazam. Scream 6, there was like a little bit of stuff where I was like, what exactly happened in 5? I don't remember. Going into John Wick, all of it's like, oh shit. Like, I know the broad stuff, but like the specifics and characters and action scenes of what's where, like, I don't fucking know. But I thought they did such a good job being like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here's what you need to know. Let's go.
He's healed from the last movie. That's all we need to know. He's been retraining.
Shot off a building.
And now it's time to do the thing. Because, like, yeah, this is Lawrence Fishburne walking in with the suit being like, suit the fuck up. John.
Dope ass. The suit that, of course, we were saying. I think it's similar to the suit we have behind us right now, which is like the black on black suit, which is cool. Oh, yeah. You always know that he's going to, that's not the final suit. Usually the final suit is when he's got the white shirt, when he's ascending to heaven, whatever. But he puts it on and he's ready to rock and roll. From there, of course, we cut over to the concierge of the New York Continental, the Manhattan Continental. He and his right-hand man, Sharon, are being brought. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I missed a spot. We cut from there to him immediately on horseback in Morocco, just chasing down people in the suit, killing people.
Seeing the trailer for this movie, it's like it was an amazing trailer.
Yeah.
And there was so many different locations and like scenes and like set pieces. And I was like, how the fuck are they going to fit the horses? And when the horses show up within the first 30 seconds of this movie, I was like, oh, why do I question anything?
Why do you question anything? Why do you question anything?
My immediate thought, though, was like, we're seeing him chase these people and he's on the horseback and he busts out his gun. And I was like, how long have they been riding for this just to be the first time that he busts out his
how did
pistol?
he just like, there's nothing around them.
Like, were they riding
like
for
there's
like
a
40
building.
minutes and then he's like, time to shoot him now? You know what I mean? Like, it just felt weird.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Of course, he catches up with the elder who's watching this, and the elder is one of the only people who was above the high table, and he's like, killing me, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, I don't care. And he shoots him in the head, and it's cool. And you're like, oh, shit, John doesn't care anymore. He's just killing everyone he possibly can get to. From there, of course, we cut back over to, I think they're in New York, where the Marquis, the new Marquis, played by Bill Skarsgård, has brought the concierge and Sharon in front of him and said,
Who's
listen.
the guy with the beard? What's his name?
I don't know. He's been a thug. in
Clancy
this
Brown.
stuff. Oh, you mean, I'm sorry, the guy with the hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown, you know him probably
He's been a lot of
notably.
stuff, but I knew him from Detroit Become Human.
He's a really big voice actor. He did Lex Luthor in the animated series for Superman. And he's been in a ton of movies, not the least of which was he was the Kragan in Highlander. That's who I know him from.
He's just one of those guys, Joey, that's like always has work because he's
just always doing.
You could just tell he's just a pro, man.
He's like I mean, this is no disrespect, but he's like the better.
Mr. Krabs.
Oh, Mr.
talented-
Krabs. That's right. That's right.
He's like the better, more talented Ron Perlman. So whenever you need a Ron Perlman-like character that's got a cooler
But you
voice, he's
want
just
it
got
to
a
be
great
good.
voice.
Yeah, he's in Shawshank Redemption. He's the
guard. That's right.
Oh yeah, the guard.
The bad guard.
Yeah.
He was awesome, and
exactly.
I know we like shouted them out earlier, but I think Bill Skarsgård was kind of what this franchise needed because I don't think I've like loved all of the other villains necessarily. I think the villain in part 1 I was a real big fan of just because of the comic elements, the comedic
in part 1.
In part 1, it being like my fucking nephew, like what are you doing? Like
The Russian
with a
guys.
fucking
Yeah, that's
pencil,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
like
with their fucking.
I feel like he's the one who has stood out the most, and the rest of them have just kind of been like, to me, except for Common, obviously. Common, phenomenal.
Common was phenomenal.
And that's what I mean when I talk about the Mr. Nobody character. I wish it was a common type character
Well-
that we see of like, oh my God, you're in this movie. But I loved Bill Skarsgård in this movie. I think he played it perfectly. I think the performance was awesome. He was kind of like just the perfect villain. And I think you could tell that he brought a lot to this character, brought a really great energy to it.
Agreed. So of course they're brought together, and he's just playing this great marquee character, and he's like, "Listen, you're supposed to kill John Wick," and he's like, "Well, I shot him." He's like, "Yeah, but you didn't really kill him, and I know what's really going on. So as your penance for that, you are excommunicated, or you're deconsecrated. We're deconsecrating the Continental, and we're blowing it up, and they watch as it's blown up."
The language of this world is
so
so
great.
cool.
And then, of course, he's like, "You should be the one dying," but in order to prove a point, he kills Lance Reddick, which, of course, was extra poignant for all of us out there who are Lance Reddick fans, because Lance Reddick, unfortunately, just passed away. And this movie was dedicated to him, which I thought was really nice as well. Very weird seeing him die on screen when he had just passed away.
Let me just,
what can you do about that, you know?
I know, obviously, the timing just very, very odd. And, like, we know that there weren't reshoots. Like, you can't just put that together that quickly. But it felt like they knew already. Like, that final sequence, and he's like, "I'm going to put friend on his tombstone." Like, that's what he was. Like, and I was like, God damn, like, this could not have been a reshoot.
Yeah.
And I know this is still playing a bigger, this is serving a purpose to the story, because that's, we see at the end of it, but it just felt like really, I don't know, it just felt like they knew, kind of. I don't know.
Too on the nose.
Yeah, it was very, very odd. And super sad. Like, God damn, what a loss. You know?
And what a loss for the movie as well, because the Lance Reddick character, specifically in the last one. The last one was the one where they hole up in the Continental, right?
That was two.
Was that two? Okay. That's sequence where they keep walking back into the vault and like getting bigger guns. I love that sequence when he and Lance Reddick go ham on the guys. Anyway, that was very sad, and he's of course been left to himself. From there, let's see.
I love also the big giant, like super ornate.
Dude.
I want to call it a time turner, and that's the wrong thing.
Hourglass.
Yeah.
When it comes, when you see him holding the like big ass like briefcase looking thing, it's like, what's in there? You assume it's like a gun or something. No, it's just this unnecessarily ornate freaking hourglass. Yeah. Loved that.
For a second, so he turns the hourglass, right? And he was like, "This is how much time you have. It's an hour. Obviously, it's an hourglass." And then we cut to the other building, and the hourglass is there. I thought, did they just turn over a second hourglass at the exact same time to time it perfectly? And then I was like, maybe he just took the hourglass from before and put it there.
I get the feeling that they did.
That was my thought, but I could be wrong.
Oh, Flair in the YouTube chat says the hole up in the vault was John Wick 3. Damn, I thought that was part 2.
Yeah, I thought that was the last one too, because that's when it ends in the top and he has to shoot him or whatever it is. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
You're right.
It all, because John Wick 3 was also the one with the incredible dog.
Gotta rewatch them all.
You know what's funny? I was gonna watch Parabellum before this, but I was like,
it's gonna be too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Remember how we saw we saw Parabellum, you and I, in theaters before we did the review?
I was, and
there was just a dude yelling next to us the whole time. Yeah, he was just laughing at everything.
He brought so much stuff into the movie theater.
He brought so much stuff into the movie theater. It was a lot. From there, of course, the Marquis goes over to Paris, where he enlists Kane, who is just... He's a great character. I want to also shout out, I didn't notice this, but Dee did. She was like, "Did you notice that he wears the exact same style of glasses in every scene, but they're different glasses?"
Sick.
Some they're black, some they're gold, some they're silver. It's just every time he just coordinates the exact same glass. You know, his ensemble. That is a true sportsman.
You know what I thought Nick was going to say right there? And you know what I noticed? The wig not looking great. I thought he was going to completely backstab me there.
Here's where here's I don't know that it's a wig per se. I think that there was looking close. I think it could.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I need to take another look. I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to put out misinformation out there. I think there was some hair plug situations happening in this movie. And as a person who's anti-wig, we're not sure what our stance is on hair plugs, because we might need to get them in about 2 to 3 years.
No, they gave him a wig, Nick, to kind of make him look more disheveled, so that when the transformation happens,
with the pompadour,
now he looks super clean cut. Yeah,
of course.
Joey, it's taking out the glasses.
Of course.
She's all that, Princess Diaries.
But I will say, I'm kind of with Kevin on this, because we talked about it a bit on the drive home. I wish that that Donnie Yen's character was utilized a bit more and more consistently throughout, because we saw those cool moments in these initial fights where he sets down the little doorbell kind of tracker
those
stuff.
Are so cool.
During the fight, he's setting down these little devices. You're like, what are these things? So whenever a bad guy pops in front of him, ding, ding, ding. That's where he knows, right? And that was the only real instance of him using a gadget. And I wish we had more of that throughout. I wish he had more little things to kind of help him out in the fight, because I thought this is what they're setting up here. Well, and it's possible they did do that and just didn't include it in the movie, because we know that the first cut of this movie was 3 hours and 48 minutes or something like that. Yeah. So it's possible they cut a lot of stuff, but I kind of wish that stuff was more consistent throughout.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. Of course, we're not quite there yet. We cut over. He's been recruited. We cut over to the Osaka Continental, and I'm sure. I'm sure there was a Paris Continental that we talked about, but I totally forgot about that in the other movies, because I know there's more Continentals, and that's like the thing.
Well, because that's what Halle Berry.
That's right, the Morocco Continental. So I love that. Any Continental hotel in this world is like consecrated ground. You can't fuck around. Even the high table can't do that.
Over.
Slide the coin, all that stuff. We meet Mr. Nobody, and it's a disappointing name, because it's almost as if Chad Stahelski has not watched the Fast and Furious franchise. And every time
adding the Mr. though, I don't think he ever calls himself Mr. Nobody.
Well, he called him Nobody. He's like, I'm Nobody. And I think at one point somebody calls him, okay, whatever. Winston calls him Mr. Nobody. Yeah. Or someone calls him Mr. Nobody. Maybe I just made that up.
No, you didn't. Yeah, because they go, who are you? And he just keeps saying, I'm Nobody. Like, and I don't think he was saying that to like, hey, call me this, you know? So eventually, once they saw that he kind of had the right stuff, they were like, okay, Mr. Nobody.
Right.
Fucking blah, blah, blah.
It's a little bit of a pretentious thing, which I'm glad that Bill Skarsgård calls him out for. He was like, oh, you're Nobody. And he has that line where he's like psychoanalyzing him, where he's like, you think it's because it's a lack of ego, but it's actually your ego coming out and rearing its ugly head that you don't want to be known, or whoever it is. Anyway, interesting moment.
Love this guy, love his outfit, love his dog.
I would say I don't love the outfit, only because I think a name like Mr. Nobody, I think you need to be dressed like a goddamn...
Yeah, why you...
Like, I think you need to be dressed in such a cool kind of like superhero agent way of like, I'm mysterious. Like, well, he looked a little too normal to be called Mr. Nobody, you know? Like,
he was just a dude.
Well, I was just like...
Love the jacket.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, again, on IMDb, it says his name is Tracker in the movie.
They
I think if they just called him Tracker the whole time, that'd be a lot cooler. But like, when I hear Mr. Nobody, I'm expecting like a boss type looking dude who like is super mysterious, and maybe he wears like the little Morpheus glasses, the little circle glasses, you know what I mean, from Matrix.
Absolutely. My thing is, if you're gonna call him Mr. Nobody, my dumb brain goes, well, when is Kurt Russell showing up?
Yeah.
Is he gonna be in this movie? Obviously not.
The crossover begins here.
I love the lore building that he's a tracker. So he's not necessarily an assassin, he's a tracker. He can track people down. Though. Super cool. Love that he had the Wild West style like revolver and like the single shot rifle. Yeah. Love all that. Love that they sort of dressed him as like a hipster Wild West like tracker guy. Thought for a second, because we saw some people in Paris look like him. The guys on the stairs, the first three guys we see had that like quick draw kind of style. I was like, oh, maybe he comes from that assassination clan.
Sick.
But they didn't really follow up on that. I was like, I want to know more about that. I just want to know more about where this guy comes from.
Well, Kevin assumes he's related to Halle Berry because of the dog stuff.
There is the dog stuff.
Like that. I feel like there's a clan of like dog people that like this is their main hunters. You know, this is their main sort of method of kind of like combat.
Right.
You know?
I thought that in the beginning, but by the end it seems like there was no connection to that. Because like he also has a notebook where he's got all these weird sketches, including a list of money. And when John Wick's bounty hits 18 million, he crosses it out, and there's several bounties above that. So I was like, oh, maybe Halle Berry, because in the last, like, she was, her hotel was also like
deconsecrated.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was just keeping track.
Yeah.
But he had them written out already. Like, I'd love to rewatch and see if those are the numbers that are actually the increments that it goes up. Because, like, maybe he's psychic and that's how he's tracking. I don't know. I was just trying to...
I don't know. I didn't get that.
To me, my explanation...
Sorry, let me finish that psychic thing, because there is a moment where he's drawn a cross, and that's the Belarusian church that John Wick goes to. When he walks in, it pans, and the cross is right above him. And it's not like he was watching him. You know?
My thing with the money thing, I just think that was him saying, like, I'm not I'm
gonna get
I
involved
can't
in
be
this
happy
until it hits 18
hits these amounts of money. You know, yeah.
It's this character. I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't love. I found it kind of confusing as to what his motivations were. What he said, it's just you and me now, and he saved his life. And I'm like, why wouldn't you kill him? Right? There's a bunch of stuff
He
going
wanted
on
the
here.
most amount of money. I think that was his only motivation.
Fair, but I'm disappointed by that because I thought, oh, this guy's got a backstory. Like something's going on. He's gonna help John. He's playing both sides or whatever. And he just kind of made some choices later that you're like, that wasn't the smartest choice for your character. Namely, like trying to like not knowing that Bill Skarsgård was gonna double cross you. I was like, you're in this game. You know who this guy is. Like you're putting yourself in this situation.
To me, the motivation was kill anybody that's trying to kill him because I'm trying to get this money the highest it can go. I need Bill Skarsgård to see that John Wick is mowing through fucking everybody. Like you expect John Wick to mow through everybody.
Yeah.
And sure, the number might be 25. You gave me 25 and that's fine. I'm going to wait to keep pushing this number and I'm going to wait until he keeps on mowing through your people to be like, well, now it's fucking 40. And Bill Skarsgård, if I do the fucking, like that was a great moment of him just like calling through and like, I think he has that targeted number of 100 million because that's like as high as it went on the list.
But it's interesting, and like the more that Bill Skarsgård, I think I liked Bill Skarsgård's character at the beginning of this movie. I didn't love him by the end of the movie. I think that there's a couple things they did where I'm like, I wish they backed it off a little bit. Namely, like, is $18 million really that much money to this council of world leaders that runs everything? Like, you would think they have billions of dollars at their disposal. What the hell does he care? A. B. They make a big deal out of the rules of this world. Clancy Brown's like, I'm the guy that tells you guys the rules. And it seems like the Marquis would have to also follow those rules. And he doesn't. He just keeps going back on these deals with people and being like, well, I made this deal with you. And now you have to kill this other person. I'm never letting you go. And it's like, what is...
It's a dirty game, Nick.
It's a weird game. but they made such a big deal of like, even though like in the first few movies, like when you walk into the Continental, like nobody fucks around in here. That is the thing. And it just feels like he was playing a little...
They need to have like a little team meeting.
It's like, come on, get the C-suite together. Like
everybody get on
what are we really
Microsoft
doing?
Teams. We're talking this out.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we go
Don't
over...
they talk about that where they like the high tables like let him off the leash and kind of let him do whatever?
I suppose so.
I think Ian McShane says something.
But I mean, whatever. We're playing fast and loose with some of this stuff. But I just like my brain goes, I want to know what the rules are. I love that lore building aspect of that. Anyway, we cut over to the Osaka Continental, and man, this fucking place is cool. Everything they film is cool. Anytime you film anything in Tokyo, fucking cool.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the beginning levels of Cyberpunk, like the hotel thing.
Oh, yeah.
So sick.
We meet up.
Arasaka.
Yeah.
With the concierge or the leader of the Continental Hotel, who has been in tons of stuff. His name is Hiroyuki Sanada, and he's playing a character named Shimazu and his daughter Akira.
He was Scorpion in Mortal Kombat.
That's right.
Scorpion Mortal Kombat.
Good one.
I think he was in Inception, right? Wasn't he the guy that they were... No, that's Ken Watanabe. He was in Last Samurai, I think. He was in one of those movies. God damn it.
I think
know
he may
he
have
was
been
one
in
of the thing.
Westworld Season 2.
This guy's badass.
That's why I
Anyway,
gave up.
he and his daughter run this, and they have a really cute back and forth. Wolverine, that's what I was thinking. Shit. He was the...
Oh, and Bullet Train. That's what he was.
Yep.
just in.
That's right.
Also, 47 Ronin.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Was he in
Not
Last Samurai?
Last Samurai, Tom Cruise,
Which is-
47 Ronin, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
We had this conversation on Games Daily yesterday.
Dang it, my bad.
And also like a massive career in Japan. Like I'm like
He's fucking awesome.
he was in Ring 2
he was
in
the-
1999. You know?
He's
Ring
the
2.
elder in Bullet
Speed
Train
Racer.
recently.
yeah, he was the dad in Bullet Train. That ends it out with them.
He's the
awesome.
fucking best. Like when you see him pop in, like it's one thing for him to pop in a movie, but him and Donnie Yen, it's like, god damn, they are doing
Let's
some
fucking
shit right
go.
here.
Um,
And also Donnie Yen playing two blind people in Rogue One
I
and here.
thought that was an interesting move.
It got to the point where I was like, is Donnie Yen blind? Like, is this
He's
something
not.
I don't know about
wait,
him?
what else was he blinded?
Rogue One.
Rogue
Yeah.
One.
Oh yeah.
I'm one with the Force. The Force.
I mean, there it is, right there. Anyway,
real
she's
quick, I was gonna say I didn't like this character. I didn't like his like commitment to not even saving Keanu Reeves or John Wick, but like just supporting him. I like that he's supporting his friend, but I think it was like way too far for like how much help it gave John Wick, you know?
well, it was all for naught for sure. But I think the whole point of this character was to introduce the idea in this world that there's more to debt than just what the high table tells you. And he has that moment with his daughter where she's like, what we're risking is the juice is not worth the squeeze on this. And he was like, yes, but he's my friend. And loyalty goes deeper
Sure.
than
But then-
anything else. And of course, he did nothing and everyone got killed and his
Yeah.
daughter almost died.
But also, moments after he has that conversation with his daughter, he then dies for like even though Donnie Yang had like been like, all right, cool, I've beaten you in this fight. Please stop coming after me. I'm gonna leave now. And then he comes after again, dies, and then his daughter makes the intelligent decision of not coming after him at that moment. You know?
But I think the line that's most important in that moment is, all right, I have you beat, Donnie, or I have you beat, I'm Donnie Yen, I have you beat. Go protect your daughter. And he goes, I am. Because he knows that this isn't going to be the end of this.
Yeah.
Right,
he knows that his daughter is still in danger.
But she's still in danger at the end of the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't think that people are still hunting her after that?
Well,
I
I
think
think
she's less danger.
he thinks he might be able to finish the job against Donnie Yen in that moment still. Like it.
I mean, he was like the man didn't even have like his sword was down, you know. And Donnie Yen did that like fast
Well,
strike.
I mean, let's go tell him in that moment, Kevin. I don't know what you want me to do, bro. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's weak character like writing in that.
I think it's interesting because I think the purpose of the character was to show the relationship between these three guys and how they had history together, and that it's the difference between the two of them, right? One of the guys was like, I'm going to stand up for my friend, and the other guy's like, well, they're going to kill my daughter if I don't. It puts them it's two good people just that I like at odds with each other because of the circumstances, and I always enjoy that. I'll admit though, if you look back from just a purely analytical standpoint, juice not worth the squeeze on that one. John, get out of here. Just go. Run away. I don't know where he is. Done. Get to keep my cool hotel. But then we wouldn't be setting up.
Lighting.
Yeah. We of course wouldn't be setting up whatever the next thing is going to come with her and Donnie Yen and all that stuff. We had that nice little revenge because he has that moment too where he leaves. He goes, "Hey, when you're ready, like I'll be waiting for you."
Yeah.
Which is a line they stole from Kill Bill, but whatever. I digress.
That was good. So good in Kill Bill.
Really good in
She
Kill
was
Bill
a little
too.
kid.
And to Andy's point, like I'd love to go to this hotel, but I don't know that I can take all that direct lighting right in my eyeballs.
Love it.
There's just eyes. There's just lights everywhere in this movie.
Great.
Every fucking where.
My
We got to talk about this is the first big action sequence of the movie, of course. This is when everyone starts popping off. We get the hotel fight in the lobby. We get the archers. We get all the stuff. Then we're like, oh, we're done. No, we're going to go up to John Wick and we're going to have the daughter fight with him. And this is when John really starts popping off. Does an Imarari roll. Does a bunch of cool shit. And again, this is where I'm like, oh, I like his fighting style. He does this thing where he like grabs a guy by the collar and by his sleeve and then puts his knee on the guy's knee and then rolls him. And I'm like, that is some, what I love most about it is we've set up that John is like a Sambo guy. And Sambo is like Russian judo. So he's always rolling people and throwing people and shit. We saw that in the last movie when he goes to his people. And I think it's Angelica Houston runs that clan.
so
and they walk through that one room and it's two Sambo guys like throwing each other in a bunch of class. Like that's John's background. And so they have him do that particular form of fighting. And then of course, her fighting is more like her karanas and all that shit, and she does all this cool stuff. So that was cool. This whole sequence is great. And we're like, God.
I really liked Rina Sawayama. Like, I don't have like any real context for her. Roger was telling me that she's like a huge like
Apparently she's a big
pop
Japanese
star.
singer. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like huge pop star, and so it was like kind of a random casting. And this is her first acting role.
She was
Just
dope.
like-
I thought she was
Yeah.
great. Like I loved the outfit reveal later. I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
dude, fucking sick as shit.
So dope.
I would just love these John Wick movies. Baseline Bechdel test. Like two women talk to each other literally about anything. That would be cool.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Fair. We're like, we finish, and I'm like, oh, thank God, this action sequence is great. That was perfect pacing. And they're like, fuck you.
No.
What are you, crazy? This is a
Finish.
John Wick movie.
We're just
Let's go
starting, dude.
upstairs
Get the
to
goddamn
to
nunchucks
yeah.
going.
Get at the nunchucks.
Because I don't know if you all saw this on social media. Like, it was going pretty viral on TikTok and Instagram Reels and stuff like that. But it was John Wick practicing the nunchuck fights
I saw that.
in a kind of just training room, and it's just like from a cell phone camera, you know, and it doing the choreography and doing getting punched and like by the end of it, he just looks so exhausted, and everybody in the room is like, let's go make a fucking movie, man. Like, oh, it's just so sick, dude.
Dude, the nunchuck sequence was so rad because it's, you know, when we used to watch like Bruce Lee do the nunchucks, you're like, oh, that looks so graceful and shit. And then you try it and you would just end up hitting either your friend in the head or
Hit
someone
your
else in the head.
elbow, yeah.
And you're like, I don't understand how you use these without fucking destroying your own face. And then John Wick picks him up, and all he basically does is just hit people in the head with it.
Dude,
I'm like,
it was-
oh, that's how you use them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was great seeing him like do exactly. I had all the same thoughts you just had, but him just fucking whacking these motherfuckers and then throwing it around his neck,
Yeah.
doing some shit real quick, and then pulling it off. It was just like so seamless and just like there's just a flow to it all. It was beautiful.
And like anytime you think it's done, you hear another gunshot, and it's back to covering himself with his jacket, and here we go for another thing. Like it is just so relentless.
Yeah.
It
And
just
then
keeps on going.
This is where we also get the sequence downstairs where Kane's just eating a bowl. He's just eating food, and the guy's like, "Are you gonna fucking do?" He's like, "Fine." Puts that. He starts popping off, and you're like, "Oh shit, he's awesome." He makes his way upstairs, and Kane and Keanu and John Wick face off against each other for the first time. Just a great sequence. Again, Donnie Yen stealing the show every single time here. He's like, "You still alive, John?" And he's like trying not to make any noise, and then Russell's one little piece of glass. It's like fuck, and they have to pop off against each other again.
I was telling them earlier, Tim, when you walked to go to the restroom real quick, but like I wish that Donnie Yen had more gadgetry stuff. That like I thought they were going to explore that throughout the whole movie, and there was going to be all these sorts of little sound cue things and stuff to help him out with his hearing. But I assume that maybe a lot of that stuff got cut because the movie was close to 4 hours in the initial.
That's a good point, though. And like that was sick as shit, him throwing the doorbell things.
Yeah. Because it was like, what are these? Are these bombs? Like, what the heck is it? And then doorbells. Love it.
All of that pops off, and by the end of it, we wind up outside where the tracker saves John and is like, "We're in this together now, John."
Also, can we talk about the part with Rena when they're going up the stairs and she's just like digging knives into that dude? Like,
also, I mean, again, all that was. Can we talk about the
she's
fact
climbing a mountain like ice picks? You know what I mean? Like,
can we talk about the suit combat boot situation that the high table guys have that just looks so dope?
It was so
black gloves,
cool.
black shiny combat boots, and just like a badass suit. I'm like, these guys are
pins.
little pins, just fun.
Again, so many video game like inspired reference shit here, but like later we talk about like the mini boss, but this was kind of even just like not even a mini boss, just like the bigger grunt
this
guys.
is the bigger guys,
and like taking
Level
them
2
down,
guys.
just the amount of hits that they needed, like getting stabbed with the stairs. I was like, this is just fucking so Streets of Rage. Like it's cool as hell.
Waves and waves and
Yeah.
waves.
great moment with Shimatsu being like, "Hey John, do me a favor, kill as many of them as you can."
Yeah.
All right.
So, of course, John returns back to New York for a hot second where Winston is like, "Hey, there's only one way out of this." And John's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "You got to challenge the Marquis to a duel." And it's like, okay.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, okay. Could I have done that 2 movies ago? Is that something that we could have remembered?
But
Or
in
did
real
Clancy
time,
Brown
that's
just
like
tell you?
4
we haven't
days.
had a Marquis.
That's true. That's a good point. I forgot.
It happens so fast.
So
There's levels. You have to go through the first adjudicator,
Right.
and then you get to the marquee.
we got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
We've got all that stuff. So he's like, but I don't have a house anymore. My ticket has been torn. And he goes, well, you have to have your ticket mended and get back into your house. And the only way to do that is to go to Germany. I think they go to Berlin.
Mandalore.
And so he has to go off to that to request to be put back in the family. And his family's like, look, you've caused us a lot of problems, and you're no longer part of this. And Uncle Fyodor, or whatever his name, he's dead. They killed Fyodor. And so I'm mad at you right now. So they string him up, and he's like, well, what can I do to get back in your good graces? And they're like, you got to kill the guy with the gold teeth. He's the one that killed Uncle Pio, and we don't like him anymore. So if you kill him, then you're back in the house, and we'll burn a tattoo onto your arm. It's like, can I just get the tattoo? And like, no, we have to fucking burn it onto your arm.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
And they poured a little whiskey on it afterwards.
A little vodka. Yeah, a little
Cool.
vodka. So off he goes over there, and man, I'm thinking this is gonna be a big reveal, and I thought it was gonna be Colin Farrell in the penguin outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I was like, it's Colin Farrell. They got him back for this.
This one didn't bother me that it wasn't a known guy.
I initially thought it was the Hound.
Oh, okay.
I initially thought it was like the guy who plays the Hound from Game of Thrones, and also Yarp in
Hot Fuzz.
in Hot Fuzz. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was that actor in a big costume, and it just wasn't. It bummed me
Is
out.
this guy like not? Isn't he like a big stunt guy though?
Yeah. Some people in the chat mentioned that he's. They mentioned his name. I googled him, and it looks like he's like
Atkins?
an martial arts
Scott Atkins.
expert.
Why do I know that name? That's like a.
he was one of the henchmen in
I feel like he's the lead stunt coordinator for this series.
Doctor Strange.
My only issue with it, Tim, is like I expect this dude, great head of hair by the way. I expect a character like this to have like a ponytail. Like just something, like
Interesting.
I just felt like this is a very normal kind of haircut, And I feel like a man of your kind of grandiose nature, you sit in basically a boss room. You've got this cool lighting setup behind you. It straight up is like an
Game of Thrones lights.
Yeah, like it's
Andy, he was.
you're very, very extra with everything you do. Kind of wish you had a little ponytail or something, just like a weird like a haircut that you don't normally see.
This dude to me is everything I could want from these types of movies, and like I'm obsessed with him. Like I'm obsessed with Han in Fast and Furious, where I'm just like, this is my guy. I loved how they introduced him. I love how long it took to take him down. I wish he wasn't dead. Maybe he's not.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not.
The brutality in his death was insane.
It's a great
For
little.
now, hey, there might be psychics, there might be time travelers. We don't know yet.
His neck snapped, and then John Wick punches his dead corpse like 3 or 4 times in the face as hard as he can so that he can loosen a tooth to take.
It's a very cool fetch quest right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Go get the tooth from the guy. This is like a Monster Hunter quest. Monster Hunter quest. You have to take off the big claw from the terror dino. You know.
Of course, I think this guy's name is Killa. I don't know if it's ever said.
That's his name.
Is that his name? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So that's what
they
it's saying.
say
Yeah.
it when they're like Pietro Killa, but it sounded like the sentence.
Yeah, it was anyway. So this is a great scene. They play poker. They do that whole thing, and he's like, I'm like, oh, nothing can beat a royal flush. Like that's the best guy. And he's like, I'm confident. And he puts down 5 2s, and then of course Donnie Yen's like, did he just fucking put down 5 of a kind?
It's a like comedic relief we get from Donnie Yen in this movie.
It's so good.
Unmatched.
But
Yeah,
it makes
a lot of laughs in this movie, and like deserved laughs. You know, I feel like there's a couple moments where we're laughing like, okay, he just fell out the building. Are we really doing the Black Widow dumb shit? But otherwise, I thought it was like very funny setups with like payoffs that didn't necessarily need to be like a quippy joke. It's just more like the choreography was entertaining and it made me laugh.
Love the line here though, where he's like, and this goes back. This kind of speaks to the Bill Skarsgård thing, where he's like, you guys are all playing by the rules, and we're not. Right, because I'm cheating. You guys were dead when you walked in here. You're like, none of this matters because we're just going to try to kill you no matter what. And then this sequence just pops the fuck off, and it's awesome. It ends with, I mean, listen, Andy, we like to do Molly, right? We should just tell everyone now. Every weekend, me and Andy are out there just fucking up our homegrown system, just doing the woo, and we're dancing.
Nick and I have been at many clubs with water being poured on us.
So much water.
So much Molly. And we've seen so many assassinations.
So many assassinations.
Yeah.
And the one thing you don't do, Andy, is you never stop dancing.
Keep
You never stop
going.
dancing. These people are watching 2 human beings beat each other to a fucking pulp. And at one point, there's one guy who's just like,
it's one of those
like,
that you
what are you
need to
doing? Run.
It's
Like,
one of those you need to watch the extras in
they're
this movie.
Yeah.
pretty bad in this scene. There's a couple of dancers, like especially when they're running through and he shoots him in the butt for the first time, nobody reacts at all. And you have to imagine in the world,
Music's loud.
the music's so fucking loud you can't hear the shot. But there's just, when they run out of the first thing, there's only 3 people dancing, and it's like they're not perturbed at all by the fact that these 2 men are hunting each other down.
It's so
Molly.
funny how mad he was about being shot in the butt, and then he gets an axe to the butt.
Yeah.
Oh, and also in that first action sequence, I had my leg crossed and I was shaking my leg because I just kind of do that. And the guy 2 seats away from me, by the way, not right next to me, 2 seats away, goes, "Can you stop?"
Why are you shaking your leg?
And I was
No,
like, and
He's shaking his leg.
I know, but I'm asking why you guys shaking.
it's just like a nervous, like I don't know, like I'm sitting down like this, right? I'm reclined, and I'm like, kind of wag my
What's
you know,
Wag
my foot a little, you know, and it's just something that I've always done. Sometimes I just kind of like move for whatever reason, and this guy was like, it was really loud at this action sequence, and he kind of like waved me down. He's like, "Hey, can you?" Like he was like trying to be nice about it, but I was like, "I don't." Okay,
I guess.
and so I put my foot down and I kept on fucking moving it. Like I was like, "Fuck you, dude! I'm not like touching your leg. Like you're 2 seats away from me. You're not. Fuck that guy."
While
a
we're
POS.
Ruined the
talking
moment for me,
about
Tim.
What a POS.
While we're talking about movie theater gripes, I went and saw it without you guys yesterday because I had stuff to do. I went, picked my seat earlier this week, perfect seat. A whole fucking group of people come in and sit like right next to me. I'm like, do we not do the seat buffer anymore? You didn't take up the whole rest of the row. I don't understand why
Gotta have the
you had
buffer.
to choose to sit
Have the buff.
in the seat next to me. Rows in front of me, empty. Row behind me, a lot of really rowdy people that were very excited about the PlayStation commercial that played before the movie.
Dorks.
But I'm just like, is there
Nerds
no?
and dorks.
We have no courtesy anymore. So I
These
feel
are
you.
these are perfectly apt and warranted gripes. Also, Coke remix machines. Enough of them. Like I'm just so tired of them, Tim.
No,
It's like one
I
of
will
them.
trade
Because
you.
here's what I do. I fill up like 60% Coke Zero and the rest of it normal Coke. But this one doesn't have any of which. And then this one has Coke Zero, but it doesn't have normal Coke. The other one doesn't have Coke Zero, but it does have Coke. And also, if you're in the right lane, can you just like not get in the like when you're driving, Tim? And it's like you could turn on the right lane. If you're on the far right, get on the left. If you're not turning right. Move to the fucking left because I don't want to wait at a goddamn red light behind you when I have to turn right and you're waiting to go straight. Get in the left lane, Nick. You know what I mean? Like
I'm always in the left lane. Always. I respect it. I respect the
I love, this whole time you were talking about the leg thing, I just kept looking at Nick and I saw his eyes kind of looking at you and looking away and looking at you, and I saw the gears turning. I'm like, what do I got here?
What's he
what do I
thinking?
have to work with? And I love that it just said he's a POS. He's a POS. I'm kidding.
But I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you guys talk, I go, "Where are we at in the plot?" And I gotta figure out where we're going here and figure some stuff out.
man.
I mean,
Andy,
that's how it's got to go.
I have a question for you. Would you rather have the Coke freestyle machines, or would you rather go to a theater that's a Pepsi only
Get the
establishment?
fuck out of
Pepsi
here.
only.
Don't, Joey, why would
Get
you
outta here.
ask him that? You know he's dumb. Look at his little,
dumb
little
face. Look
smirk.
at his
He
dumb
knows he
smirk.
upset so many of us.
Pepsi only because you know why, Joe? I'd get a little Mountain Dew.
Ooh.
I'd do the do in the
He would
fucking
do it.
theater.
He would
How
do
would
it.
you take
I've
it?
seen him do it.
Get a soda yesterday. I was like, just one peanut M&M.
To end the tangent of theater stories, I want to give a shout out to the kind of funny best friend. I forget his name. I think it's Steven. We've seen a million times at different events and stuff.
This kid.
Saw him yesterday, and he came up to me, and he was like hanging out because it was like GDC. He was like, "Hey Tim, haven't seen you in a while." I was like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" Like I've seen him at RTX before, seen him at a bunch of,
lot of
different
movie
things,
theaters, too.
movie experiences, yeah. And he has the biggest thing of popcorn you could possibly get, and the biggest fucking drink you could possibly get, like the Trenta shit. And I was like, "Oh, you seen John Wick?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Oh, 3:30." He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, cool, man. We're seeing it up there." He was like, "Oh, I'm actually watching it at the other theater." And I was like,
Oh, like in the
"Oh,
mall?
that's weird." Yeah.
No.
I was like, "Why?
No.
You're here with the stuff?" He's like, "I bought this. It's unlimited refills." So he gets refills at AMC and then goes across the
Smart.
street to Century.
So
Damn.
And when I
Smart.
saw him leaving, he was holding it and he like flashed it at me and he had the thing full and he had a full refill bag of popcorn. He's like, "This one's for home."
It's so smart. I mean, because
I love it.
you think about just the economy's just spiked, recently, Joe. It's very, very smart.
But, like,
Game
I
of
mean,
system.
it's actually really smart because, like, imagine how much you guys paying for each time you get popcorn.
A lot of
Lots.
popcorn.
Too much money.
Lots.
$64.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, but I always
wait,
make
one
Hey,
money
Andy's-
for it.
before we move on.
I know what the price of popcorn is
the
at Andy's.
snacks.
Yeah.
I do want to say Andy does bring up an excellent point, and the reality is it's not the machines that are broken with these Coke things; it's the fact that they don't get serviced enough. We have to hold
right.
these movie theaters, accountable
Yeah.
to not servicing these damn machines. Because why is it that every time you don't have this option, you don't have that? Sort it out, Sentry. Sort it out, or AMC.
It
All
is-
of them, Joey.
I'm not
All
going to
of them.
act like it isn't partially my fault, Tim, because I didn't give you the full truth earlier, right? And if I could get the
Wow.
ones.
Okay, give him the one. I got to pee.
If I can get the one, because I didn't just do Coke Zero and Coke. Like what I do is like, let's say here I have the full. Let's say this is my cup, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
My cup run is full. Okay, I go around half Coke Zero. I do a little bit of Coke, and I do the rest root beer.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go cherry Coke.
So the root beer kind of makes everything root beer flavored because it's such a strong flavor profile.
Okay.
So it's like I'm just drinking normal root beer.
So why not just get all root beer?
Question.
Because I want like Coke Zero for the
The health factor.
health factor, Joe.
Do they not have like a sugar-free diet
They
root beer?
they do,
thing?
but I don't know if they have. I don't know if it has caffeine.
Okay.
So I legitimately had to go to three different. machines. You know what I mean, Tim? I had to go to three different.
Of course, I know what you mean.
I had to go to three different machines.
Yes.
Does it look like I'm looking at Tim right here? I had to go to three different machines. One for the Coke, one for the Coke Zero, and the other for the Barks root beer. So that's my issue.
It's a big issue.
It's a
hard
big
out
boy.
here.
I thought you were gonna make a big
so
point.
big.
My bad.
Oh, I love
How
it.
did you do that? How did I look that large? What happened?
You look
Oh.
like Killa.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Where are we at in the movie? I forgot.
I don't know.
Nick's not back. We gotta keep. We
Yeah,
gotta
big
keep talking about
action scene number 2 in the club fight, essentially. Which you gotta love the club fight in all these movies. But yeah, we see the big dude get taken
I
down.
have another tangent then.
Tangent up.
Real early in the year to
Size
have
of a
2
tangerine.
really big set pieces in movies that are very water heavy. We got this. We got Magic Mike's last dance.
I forgot Magic Mike was this year. That is in review that we did.
He was so wet in that sequence, Joe.
Yeah, but they were also very wet in this one.
Yeah. I loved it. I love, again, I can't give enough credit to just the locations that they have in these movies. Like, so many of these places, I'm like, how is this real? Like, even stuff that aren't supposed to be the big action set piece. Like, just the walk into a, like, conference room, and it's the coolest conference room ever, which is, like, pillars and shit. And it's just, like, every single thing has a purpose, and that purpose is just be dope as shit.
Yeah.
I am a little bummed that John Wick just takes no fall damage whatsoever, because it's like
He does. Like,
no,
he feels it, bro.
He fell in that
feels
scene.
it.
He probably fell at minimum 15 to 20 feet.
I mean,
and,
but
like,
the adrenaline's pumping, though, Kev.
Andy,
pumping,
but
dude.
it's concrete. He landed in a concrete thing.
Europe has softer
a
concrete.
Very similar fall later kills the dude. I guess he fell on stairs.
He fell on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, John Wick, I'm pretty sure,
Look,
falls on his chest.
John Wick needs to, like, John Wick knows how to fall. It's one of the main things that they teach quarterbacks, Joe. They don't want quarterbacks falling in a place where they get squished by a big offensive line. They know how to fall. John Wick knows how to fall. That guy didn't know how to fall. He broke his neck.
He knows how to fall on the stairs, too. Really well.
Gotta fall. They have
Falls
those
down
other
so many stairs.
extra little pads too. That
Yeah.
the quarterbacks get to wear in case they get.
John
do.
Wick
Life
falls down
jacket.
more stairs in this movie than I've walked up in my life.
I don't like stairs.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
Yeah.
That's why God invented escalators.
Exactly it. Where
I
we at, Nick?
digress, ladies and gentlemen. So he brings the tooth back to his adopted sister, Katya, that the Wikipedia says. I had no idea that was his sister. Did you know that? There you go.
Well, I
and she
think
goes,
they're all orphans that have been adopted into this family.
sure, that
Except
makes sense.
for maybe Katya, who might have been Pietro's daughter.
I like that I said Pietro. Definitely not the name of the guy that died, but Pietro.
No, that is. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the guy.
I think it was like Uncle
spelled weird.
Pyro or something like that.
It was like
Poyo.
P-I-T-R-Y or something.
Something like that. Anyway, she's like, welcome back. You now have your ticket's been mended. We got to go burn your arm, pour some vodka over each other, and you can now issue your challenge to to Bill Skarsgård.
But also, like, so much cooler than just, like, sticking a brand in a fire. It's like, let's fill this metal thing with, like, more molten metal.
Awesome.
And then stick our hands to it.
Everything.
What did they say there? Where they were like, the pain is shared between us or some shit like that. Whatever it was cool as hell.
Yeah,
Wait,
it was like
also-
blood of my blood.
Something like
Ashes
that.
to ashes.
Yeah.
We all fall down.
Really quick, I do want to add, like, just briefly mention Klaus, who is
I am Klaus.
like the Hodor.
I am-
just an
I
I
am
am
Groot.
Groot.
Klaus.
Fucking Pokemon shit, dude.
Just an I am
So
Groot
weird.
guy.
What a weird call on that one, but it was
Also,
fun.
Nick, did you recognize Katya
Yeah, she's the water woman from Game of Thrones.
and Nymphadora Tonks?
Oh, that's what I know her from. I was like, I don't remember her from Game of Thrones, but yeah, I remember. Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. She was great. All this, just having a great time with all these little assassination houses and stuff like that. Of course, Winston goes over to talk to Marquis. He's like, listen, we're issuing this thing. He's like, well, you got to be his second. And he's like, I am his second. It's gonna be great. He's like, well, you know, if he dies, you die too, right? He goes, yeah. I did not know that. And it's like, well, you should know that because you were the one that suggested to John that this would be the course of action to begin with. But he's like, great. So if I win, though, I want the Continental Hotel rebuilt. I want the gym to be slightly bigger. I would like there to be a smart water a vending machine on every floor.
Yes.
Clear ice cubes.
Clear ice cubes. I want my parking spot to be a little bit closer to the door and a full-size parking spot. None of this compact bullshit. And then Marquis is like, well, you don't drive. And he's like, but that's not the fucking point.
Yeah.
You understand me? I have friends that drive. And when they come and they pull up to the Continental, I want them to have a place to park. And he goes, I also want it to be reconsecrated, and I want it to be full ownership over that. And he's like, okay, great.
You said this one was the water woman in Game of Thrones?
No, I was definitely wrong.
No, I don't know. What
Were you thinking about,
She's
you know
OSHA.
nothing, John?
Yeah, she's
No.
OSHA. She's like
She's
the wildling.
Osha. She's
The
Osha, the
wildling.
wildling. Yeah.
Where'd the water come from, though?
Oh,
I was thinking of Reek's sister.
Oh, the Greyjoy.
As soon as I
Got
said,
it.
as soon as I said the
really-
water woman, I was
Yeah.
like, no, it's wrong. I'll wait for them to correct me in the comments.
Sorry, my bad.
Also, I want to throw out as a correction, I was right. He was in The Last Samurai as well as.
Holy
the other
shit.
movie.
Wow.
Oh wow.
This mind sometimes
So
works.
Get fucked.
Sometimes
comments,
it
get
doesn't.
fucked.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Jurgen
Oh no, the
Klopp.
comments are gonna come.
Right,
They're gonna be
twice a
like,
day.
Nick was right. He was in there,
Mm.
and then they're gonna go. Andy doesn't know what the hell he's talking
Water
about.
woman.
This water woman. Let's see. Where we catch back up to the terms now. They have this cool thing where they all have to like they get to pick, they get
So
eat one. Everyone gets
cool.
a pick, and they got to draw a card.
I
It's like,
love
oh,
these
that's so rad.
tiles that
Yeah.
they have.
In my brain, I'm like, it's only like there's 3 choices. Why do we have 17 tiles?
Yeah, I don't really understand like
But
the number scale.
Well, it's
just the
you just
highest
flip it
number
over as the
wins.
highest number.
No, I
wins.
know,
Well, yeah,
but
but,
like
like,
there was only
wasn't
like 24 tiles on the table,
Yeah,
but it went up higher.
Well,
than
what
that.
I'm assuming, Joe, is that like they had
it's a full deck of cards.
like,
Like there's 52 of them.
well, okay, how many cards were on the table?
52.
I think that there were 12 on each side, but then at some point John flipped
So
to
I think
27.
I think they 27, okay, because I was thinking like maybe they have 1 to 30 cards and they gave them 15 each or some shit like that, you know. So like
That
mean,
was
that's
what I
like
was
the
thinking.
It doesn't really matter.
I love the physicality of it, and
Yeah.
we keep talking about how cool the
Cool
fucking
props,
movie is.
man.
But the big hourglass thing and these cards being so like heavy seeming and like just like they were a real thing. The coins even like fuck.
Yeah,
Even when they have
rad.
like they present the bullets one by one.
Yeah.
At the end, it's just like
Totally.
Very cool. Of course, it's Marquis wants to pick knives, and John's like pistols, and it's cool. And then he's
I
like,
want
"Where
to
do
know
you
what the
want?"
other options are.
Shotguns, all sorts
Whatever
of things
you
like
want.
that.
Just
Chuck.
yeah, because Marquis said blades, yeah.
Blades,
so
yeah.
like
Blades, pistols, ARs, shotgun. I mean, any weapon.
But then-
cannons,
it's
if you want it to be.
It's just great that
I want someone to do this with cannons.
Yeah,
It's
just
so
old
bad.
pirate cannons.
it's just great that neither of them are confused because you know that this is something that's been done a lot, and that convinces you, the viewer, that this world
It
it makes the world more convincing.
It's
Like,
the not over explaining.
yeah,
Yeah. It's fun. So the terms are set. It's not going to be in New York. It's going to be in Paris. It's going to be at sunrise.
But
and
John's confidence being now is also such
John's
a great
like,
moment.
no. And they're like, well, come on, bro. We got like 30 more minutes in this movie. We can't be doing that. We got we've got the Dragon's Breath sequence still coming up. We can't do that. So John goes, I need to go someplace safe for a little bit, which of course ends up being the underground tunnel system where Lawrence Fishburne and Winston meet in there.
This cardboard
where they
piece of
saved
paper.
Ethan Hunt.
They did.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, they have the that's right. The little waterway is
Yeah.
where he flies in. That was a good pull.
We have Dead Reckoning coming this
Fuck
year
yeah, we
too.
do. More horses.
What a time! More horses.
More horses.
That's,
Doing Rockin'
that's right.
Fantastic. So he's like, I'm gonna hang out. And he goes, here's the last suit you'll ever wear. He's like, Men in Black style suit. It's really cool. Gives him the white and black suit. You know, it's gonna be the final one. And he's like, now all we gotta do is get you to the church. Again, one of those moments. If I have a high table, I was like, look, dude, you got to play by the rules. Because he's like, what if he just didn't get there? And the guy with the mutton chops, and I'm like, no, very 90s mutton chops. Maybe we got to clean those up a little bit.
Oh,
He's like, I get what you're saying, boss. Wink, wink. And then the lady comes on the loudspeaker and is like, bonjour, bonjour. It's time to play Paint It Black because John Wick is on the way to the church. We can't let him get there, but I'm going to speak in code.
what a cool way
meanwhile-
to just present this whole sequence. Like, have it being told to you by a DJ. Again, another one of the things that doesn't need existing. This is a character that has existed. There's always been a DJ in this world.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
She tells
It's-
everyone in Paris what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the juxtaposition between super old school stuff, but like incredibly state of the art, like weaponry,
Oh, yeah.
like technology.
Like
that I think is so
Kevlar,
cool.
Kevlar sheets that can stop bullets. My favorite thing is when he takes the jackets off and
And
stuff
shakes.
and shakes it out at the end. The bullets just come out, and then the fast bullets come out.
It's just fucking awesome, and I love that this sets off the scene of like all the different people coming after him to try to get the contract done, and it reminds me of like the plot of number 3, where it's kind of like everyone is hunting John Wick. I feel like, and it's just because I haven't seen the movie in a while now, so like I don't remember the details, but I thought they did a really good job in this one of it feeling like the world's against him, and like everywhere he goes, people are coming after him. You don't know who is going to pop out and be after him in the same way that Mr. Smith in Matrix, right? In Matrix 2,
Just come out
like
any
the
door.
of Keanu, Neo versus all of them, right? This is the 2023 version of that, and it's just done in a way that looks so good. Where there was no moment in this fight that I'm like, "Oh, the CG's bad" or whatever. I was just mesmerized by the speed at which everything was happening, and I just believed that he was being hunted and fucking everybody up.
Yeah, incredible.
I will say that I think that the earlier fight where you're talking about where it feels like everybody against him, I think that one's cooler because it just seems like a lot of normal people are assassins. This one feels like, oh, you just look kind of like a generic kind of like henchmen kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not as surprising. It's just like the amount of waves of them that we get that's just like overwhelming.
I also love that, by the way, and it occurs to me every single John Wick where I'm like, how many stunt people do you think really were there? Because they always have the guys that like they're either in makeup or they got their faces covered. It's like, do they only use like 10 guys? And are those guys incredibly bruised when they're done filming this movie?
Oh, I
they are
imagine.
destroyed.
Oh my God,
yeah.
destroyed.
Because these motherfuckers are doing this shit. Like,
yeah, dude.
I'm sure there's pads and I'm sure there's some green screen, but I would say like
They're falling down those
conservatively,
stairs.
60 to 70% of this movie, people are getting contusions.
I saw a TikTok recently. I don't think it was this movie, but there's a scene where like an armored guy gets thrown down escalators, and like it was the behind the scenes, and like the dude is just like, I'm sure he's wearing a lot of padding, but those are escalators, and he's
They're sharp.
definitely just getting thrown down the escalators.
Oh,
That was this movie. That
It was
the
the
Japan
Continental,
scene.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it's
that
just
was
like
brutal.
that shit is so brutal, and it's like, man, I hope they got that in one shot.
Incredible.
Hokey,
Another
too.
thing that literally
We
this is
skipped the
gonna.
Dragon's Breath scene?
No, we haven't
No.
quite got there yet. This the call has been put out, and there's a guy sitting in front of Moulin Rouge, and I was like, huh, real place. Didn't know that.
Oh, really?
No idea.
Oh, yeah.
No idea. See the thing with the windmill and all that stuff in the back. I was like,
You can go see the dancers. Yeah.
there you go, cool. This shit pops off. We get the arc sequence first, which is incredible. Then we get that's all. We talked about that.
Yeah, the
Throwing
bodies
people in the
flying
cars,
off of
flipping,
cars.
this, that. We get the cool.
Him drifting and fucking shooting at people
Picking
in a
up the gun off the ground. Incredible.
as he's just
In the badass
continuously circling
Charger.
them in his car, shooting them down. God damn, dude. It's like I felt like such a sucker of being like, God, I love violence.
Yeah,
Like,
straight up.
this is great.
I do think there was one missed opportunity where two cars drive at him and pin his car, and his door is missing. I wish he had just jumped out and like the cars had taken his car away and he just kind of walked out of it. Like,
I think they did
was
that in another John Wick, didn't they? Wasn't that in another movie where he like the car gets hit and he walks out of it?
As it's whipping
As
around.
it's
I
whipping
think
around.
he, like,
Remember that? And,
Yeah.
like, he
That's
just
when
walks
he,
out.
what's his name, does all the car stuff in the
But
first and second
Nick,
one.
this
I
would
think
be
it's the first
two
one,
cars
right?
hitting the one car.
100%. Kevin, you're not wrong. You're
What's
not
blue
wrong
in
at
the
all.
one car?
I love all this. The Charger, all that stuff. I think it was a Charger. Fucking awesome. The sound of it, the flipping around, all that stuff. Very, very cool. And then, of course, before this,
Weird that there's an American car in Paris.
not at all. We're everywhere. Okay. These Paris, you know what they have? The little putt-putt cars. Putt-putt, putt-putt. The Pugos and their little weird cars that you can barely fit one person in.
Peugeot.
There's a scene where
And-
Fiat hits someone and the Fiat actually gets damaged.
Yeah, the Fiat hits, and then the Fiat goes, "Oh, mon ami, it was to be." You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here. We got Dars Chargers. This is American steel.
Yeah.
You get that? We'll go right through your Moulin Rouge. Ah, man. My gift is my soul. All right. My song, rather. Fuck that joke up. Anyway. We'll keep walking along. Awesome. We did get a moment here that I want to call out, though. Of course, the guys are prepping. They put the broadsword shotguns in the back, and they load them with the dragon's breath. And that's when I thought to myself, this is going to be fucking insane. And sure enough, he goes into the building, and John picks it up first. I think someone maybe you don't see it before, and he's the first person to shoot this damn thing. And this effect that they have coming out of this rifle, this shotgun, is
Powerful.
incredible.
Wait, this is a Call of Duty thing?
Well, no, it's a real
I mean, it's a
thing,
real
But
weapon.
like I know of it from Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty, you can do ammo for your guns. Like you can pick which ammos you unlock them, and one of them is fire rounds for your shotgun. And Andy's not wrong. It was like the gun of choice.
It was
for
a
all
bad
the,
meta. It was
The
very scary.
try hard sweat lords that were in there just jumping at my face and shooting me with fire. It was.
But he's
so
just
annoying.
like he's just slowly walking up the stairs backwards, and the visuals are great,
Yes.
and then it just
And then we go into it right as he enters the
best
room.
sequence of all time.
The camera cranes up, and we are above Keanu for a solid 5-minute long action scene that is just like nothing I've ever seen before. It was mesmerizing
It
to
was
watch this.
so cool.
I was
Super cool.
transfixed. I was in a fugue state watching.
It comes back down to him. We fight a little bit, goes right back up, and the traitor's there as well. Tracker's there as well. They shoot it out. They duke it out. They go downstairs. We get jumped. Someone gets thrown off a freaking balcony thing. And then it gets to the point. Mutton Chops comes up, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill this guy's dog." And John Wick just cannot stand for it. He will not stand for animal cruelty. I, for one, am on his side. Andy, get on the right side of history on this one. Don't hurt dogs. This dog is fucking cute as shit. John, of course, instead of killing the tracker and saving himself, kills the dog, and the tracker's like, "Oh no, I've been on the wrong side
love
this
this
entire
man.
time.
Mhm.
This guy's now my friend."
I have a life debt to this man.
And if you think for a second that later down the road, when the tracker has a moment where he's like, I could kill John Wick and make $40 million right now, and then looks at his dog and his dog goes,
Oh, so cute.
I was like, oh my God, this dog. Perfect.
so
I did it.
cute.
Perfect casting. for
writing.
this
No
dog.
notes.
No notes, zero notes. Of course, you get out of the scene, and then we start the what will probably be an iconic scene with the stairway.
I mean, legit.
The
I
massive
think
stairway.
that the stairway thing is like
It's gonna be a moment.
it's gonna be a cinematic moment that is talked about
It'll be referenced.
forever, and I feel like it's a standout scene in a franchise that is so hard to stand out because everything is just so special. Like, I think this is like an incredibly special.
It's
moment.
unbelievable that they keep on just ramping up what they're doing without it feeling like kind of like
without Fast and Furious going to space.
Yeah, like I was just so impressed by this whole sequence. It was so fun to watch. It was, again, you're laughing at the ridiculous nature of all of this, at just like the unstoppable John Wick climbing up these stairs and then getting knocked down forever.
I mean, him falling down the flight,
It's
and we
comedic
laugh.
perfection.
And then another flight, and then another one. It just kept
Just keep going.
It
going,
is
going.
And then you get
it's
a
comedic
break.
perfection.
And then he falls down the rest of it. You're like, how are there still more stairs
So
for him
many
to fall
stairs.
down?
As he's and I had the thought that as he's about to start walking back up, I think you can get back up faster if you're fighting dudes. Because like you see him like about to walk, and he's like, oh, this is gonna be fucking tough. And then Donnie Yen's kind of there or whatever. Like you see the moment where he wants to start walking back up, and you know this is gonna be a pain in the ass. And I think that he makes it up there faster because he's fighting people, as opposed to like if he was just running up there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Like
because
the
when you're
momentum.
not fighting people, the adrenaline wears off.
You're just
and
kinda like
"God, my body
jogging, you
hurts
know?
so
Yeah.
much. Donnie Yen comes to the scene, of course. We get the tracker moment with the dog, and he saves him. Donnie Yen's like, John, I'm gonna need you to get these stairs because if you don't, and I don't fight you and kill you, they're gonna kill my daughter. So they have to fight together. Fucking awesome moment where Donnie has to use his the sheath of his sword to sort of feel where the railing is to understand where he's at in the space, and he's hearing people just popping off. And there's just moments where he's just shooting at people to sort of distract them. All that stuff is super cool. And then he just like, I forget how they kill the dog bites the dude's nuts with the mutton chops.
Oh,
and then,
the biting him and then pulling him down
Yeah.
was like, oh.
and then I think either the tracker or John shoots him in the head. Someone shoots him in the head.
Tracker.
Tracker shoots him in the head.
Donnie Yen can't because of the
Oh, right. He can't touch him. He's like, but I can
Yeah.
still punch you,
yeah.
motherfucker.
He gets so many fun lines in this movie.
Yeah.
I love
Also,
it.
he does this cool thing where instead of stabbing people, as he's walking by people that are down, he just goes like,
Yeah.
into their chest. And you're like, that's fucking
Oh,
cool.
the little thing.
The little
Because he
just-
does that. He does that to Keanu Reeves as well.
Yeah, he goes, you owe me one, and then hurts his hand.
Stabs
Presumably,
him
so
with
he
his
has to
hand.
shoot with his left hand.
And he looks so fucking smooth doing it.
So
too.
cool. They go up, of
Wait,
course,
real
as
quick.
yeah.
Can I add one more moment? Because there's
Yeah.
a thing that really stood out to me is at one point John Wick runs out of bullets with his handgun, so he like opens his gun to like see that there's no bullets, sees it, takes his gun apart, throws the like top part at some dude's throat,
And
and
then
then with
guy.
with the other side starts stabbing people, and it looks visceral. And then he ends that with stabbing someone through the neck.
Yeah,
with
man.
it.
That shit was wild. The one scene that I did not like in this movie was and I think I was in the bathroom. You guys were talking about it when the tracker guy got the
Oh, we
we
didn't
didn't
talk
even
about
talk
that.
about
no.
knife through the hand and he like pulls it through. I was like, too far, too far,
far.
guys. I'm all here for the gratuitous
yeah.
violence. That just felt
Well,
like
that was like,
gore.
wasn't it like the eyeball moment in the knife throwing sequence in
Yeah.
part 3? Like
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
reminded. I feel
too far.
I feel like they feel like the creators of these movies feel like they have notes to hit, and like
But
we
I
got to
like
do a creepy, an awful gory.
There's
moment.
definitely an escalation.
I think it's part of it too that like I think that scene shows that he's like, I don't want to owe anyone. I am here on my own dime. I'm not. This is gross and painful, but like I'm not going to be part of this
Ugh,
whole
it was
thing.
so gross.
Of course, we make it up the stairs just in time for the clock to strike. It is sunrise. This is, I will say, I love any time a movie can obviously film practically in a location. It's so much better, especially with a movie that relies on real stunts. This was the one part of this movie where I was like, obviously you can't film at sunrise an entire scene like this because this scene would take probably days to film and you can't keep the light consistently. So I think this was on a soundstage someplace.
Yeah.
Kind of read like that to me, especially when they were sitting and you saw
The
Paris in the
sunlight and
background.
stuff.
I get
looks
it.
weird.
I like the scene no matter what.
Yeah, no, I feel
otherwise,
that.
but I just was like this.
The
kinda
light being
stuck.
cast on them always feels like a
It always
set.
feels sad.
And that's the I feel like you're so right about it. Like this scene does stand out compared to the rest of them. But I do feel like they leaned into it in a way that like the choreography and the camera blocking of this, I think, played with the shadows and lights in a way that I was like, at least it's really interesting, even if it doesn't look quite real. It felt like I believed in what they were presenting to us, especially with like a beautiful wide shot of the paces towards each other and like how they just set the stage for us to look at it like almost like a 2D platformer. Like it was fucking cool.
But did the opposite shot look super keyed, like the shot against the building? A bunch of times when the background, like the assistants and stuff that were in the background when they were moving, it almost looked like they had a green bloom around them.
It was definitely a lot of compositing in this, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that building behind them was real, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But for sure, when it switched and it was Paris, I was like, no, that's it kind of stuck out a little too clean. But again, I don't mind it. Obviously, we're in a neon noir, John Wick comic book, hyper fucking action thriller, whatever. It was just one of the moments where I'm like, Tom Cruise would have filmed it at sunrise.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have composited that. Just saying. Saying
Keanu.
Yeah, I'm just
Come
saying
on,
Chad Stahelski, Macquarie would have filmed practically this entire thing. Anyway.
McHugh.
What's that? McHugh. Yeah, Mickey Q.
That's what he calls. Oh, that's
They call
what
him McHugh?
That's what Tom Cruise calls him. Yeah, McHugh. Yeah.
What would Tom Cruise call me? Buttercakes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? There's something cool like that.
I fucking hate and
Something
love that.
cool.
I was gonna
like
go
that.
much more offensive with it. I was gonna say, you old
I was like-
bitch.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, Tom Cruise's mouth.
So anyway, we are up there, and it's dueling pistols at sunrise, right? One shot, one kill pistols. I didn't understand the rules per se. He was like, you got to go 30 paces out and then come back in until one person dies. I was like, well, he's going to walk toward each other slowly until they punch each other to death. Didn't realize they were going to give him bullets for every 10 steps they came in. Of course, first two shots wing each other. You kind of get the feeling like, oh, you don't really want to kill each other. We're trying to figure out this out. Second shots, not death blows either. Donnie Yen gets one in the gut. Keanu gives one, I think, in the shoulder. By the third one, unfortunately, and I love this because this is the first moment, this first real action sequence that we have that is paced and is tense because it is just one shot. We're taking our time with this. Clancy Brown's just having a great time in his fedora and all this cool shit that he's doing, calling it out, shots, whatever.
10
more
paces.
10 more paces.
Yeah.
And then we get down to it, and it's the final blow. And Donnie Yen pulls the trigger and shoots John straight through the gut. And of course, the Marquis cannot help himself. He goes, I get the coup de grace. I'm going to take the final bullet. He puts a bullet in his gun, walks back up to
We
John.
also get the cool little moment before that of Donnie Yen and Keanu having the
little
person
poetic.
closest to death and versus clinging to life.
Oh, right. Good little moments. And they also give each other props at a certain point, too. He's like, it was a good shot. He's like, yeah, I know. And then he goes, you stupid son of a bitch, you egotistical fool. He didn't shoot yet. And we're all thinking it. Like, we only saw one shot. We've all played video games before.
I didn't
we know how
see
many
that.
bullets.
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't?
See that? No.
Oh, I saw when it came up, you saw one puff of smoke come out of just Donnie Yen's gun. I was like, oh, Keanu hasn't pulled the trigger yet.
So
Funny,
satisfying.
I heard it where I was like, oh, that was just one shot.
Because I was looking at just Donnie Yen's body to see
If he was like the bullet was in
where
the
the
chest or
bullet
something,
went. Yeah. So I didn't see the muzzle flash or whatever.
This was one of those moments happened to everyone in the theater was like, oh, like, you tricksters.
He didn't shoot. Yeah, and then of course Keanu just goes like, "Stay on or get off." I forget what he says. But he says something cool.
yeah.
The other is-
keep the bus over 65 miles.
There was one great moment here that everyone laughed at, where right before they start the final duel, Bill comes up to him and he's like, "Remember, I'm going to kill your daughter." And Johnny just goes, "Fuck off!"
Yeah.
Just fuck off, man.
Yeah, no, he was like, think of your daughter. Fuck off.
Fuck off, right?
Consequences.
So right before, of course, the last shot, he's like, "My daughter's good, right? No matter what happens here, she's good." He's like, "Yeah." Saw that in front of Clancy. Clancy apparently wrote it down on the thing. So finally, he's like, "You dumb son of a, you stupid, you don't know me, but you think you're gonna know me."
Consequences. Chat saying.
Winston's line though of "you arrogant asshole."
Yeah.
He didn't
You arrogant
shoot.
prick, right?
Yeah, he hasn't shot. And so John, of course, like, shit, pow, right through the eyes. Bill Skarsgård goes down, blood everywhere. And then Clancy Brown's like, "Thank God we can go to breakfast. This shit took way too long, and I am fucking hungry." Everyone's
IHOP?
good.
Yeah.
You get the Continental back. Your daughter's safe, and John, you get to just go have what I imagine is going to be the end of my life.
I thought Clancy Brown was going to throw a flag on the play or something. Like, can't do that.
Clancy's seen the Marquis playing it fast and loose here, and he's like, if I'm
doesn't
being
really
honest,
like
we broke
the Marquis. I don't think he gives a fuck.
He doesn't care. He wants to just go. It's all settled. Marquis dead. John's good to go. And John, of course, has seen Blade Runner 2049. And he's like, the coolest way to go out is just shot to death. Just go sit on the steps, keel over, leave it nebulous. Maybe we want a sequel. Maybe Ryan Gosling comes back for Blade Runner 2075.
Maybe.
We don't know. Of course, we cut over to the funeral, or not the funeral, excuse me, the gravestones, and it's Helen Wick and John Wick, and he's a loving husband. We did miss that one scene where he's like, what would you want on your tombstone? He goes, loving husband. That's what I'd want, because that's how I see myself. But we also have that moment where he's like, there's 3 kinds of men in the world. Men that have something to fight for, men that have something to die for, and men that have something to kill for. And Kane has all 3, and John Wick has nothing. I was like, I don't know.
So then there's 4, because there's the guys that have nothing, right?
That's John Wick, because he's got nothing. Yeah, it's a good point.
The 4th kind.
There's different guys. Yeah, there's
so
5 kinds of
happy
guys.
he died.
There's a lot of adages being thrown out here all over the place. Winston just full of it, right?
Well, everybody just talks in.
They really talk.
Yeah. In like biblical verses.
Yeah, they talk
Like,
in these moments. Of course,
it's the most unrealistic thing about this movie is how everybody speaks to each other.
But it's so cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. I love it.
They're there. Lawrence Fishburne's there as well. He's like, never thought I'd see the day John's buried in the ground. Of course, we didn't see him die. We haven't seen him get buried. So for all we know, he's just out puppy shopping. He's at the kennel right now, trying to get another cute rescue dog in and live the rest of his life.
I do think that if John is alive, I think it's weird to me that he didn't come back for the dog. He really cares about the dog.
He knew that dog for about 4 hours, right?
But he doesn't. That's never mattered.
I'll tell you what, you get me a dog, I don't bond with it immediately, I'm leaving it on the street.
I guess you're right. The first dog he had only known for like a couple days.
Yeah. And this is the second dog, so he had it through 2 and 3.
But he redeemed himself because he killed the other guy that was going to kill the dogs. So now he's done with dogs.
No.
That's the full circle.
No.
That's the full circle.
It's pretty ballsy they killed
guy.
him. And like, sure, they didn't really kill him, but they did kill him, but they did. Like the way they presented it is he's dead. And like I know we all know he's coming back.
Winston has that little smirky smirk, you know.
Yeah, but it's just like that's a call. Like that's
wasn't expecting that either.
yeah. Like I don't.
Because we had talked
I guess.
earlier about like I think this is the last one. And you're like, no, they're not like marketing like that. I was like, I thought this was the last one.
Because we know we have the ballerina spinoff coming with
Yeah.
Ana de Armas,
And then
but
we get the show.
that's
prequel.
right. Yeah. So I don't know, but I imagine that this movie's going to do well. I imagine we're going to get another, and I imagine he'll be back. But where we're at now, no,
I don't know.
And then we get our first post-credit.
And we get our first ever post-credit scene in the John Wick sequence where Kane is just like, everything's cool, and I'm listening to my daughter play her street music. And then it's like, she's a really good violinist. Why is she always playing on the streets? What the fuck? You don't got anything else?
Get a goddamn studio.
Guys, Nick's not wrong.
I'm not
That's
wrong.
what we call it. That's what we call it.
Like, you're very talented. Like, you just need to apply yourself. And so he's there and he's like, Judah Peta Puda Pada Sapapo, the Catalina wine mixer, right?
Yeah.
And then we see Akira and she's like, I'm gonna fucking stab this guy.
She's gonna die.
And you're like, you're gonna die. He's just better than you.
He's so much better than her.
But we don't know how much time has passed, what
it's
kind of
been-
training she's
Joey,
gone through.
4 days.
It's been 4 days.
He's
Max.
got in John Wick world. If you're standing, it's been a day and a half. You're healed.
Easy.
No more bullets. The bullets can't hurt us in this. Either way, cool. Maybe we carry on. We've got some other people in this movie. I could see a John Wick 5 starring Kane. That could be cool. I don't know.
There we go.
I'd like
Matt
to
is
be in
John
one.
Wick 4.
Yeah, I'd like you in one too.
Thank you.
I can see
What
you
would
doing
you
the
want
thing
to
really
be?
well.
John, not so quick.
Okay.
John Thick. John Thick. Well, when I was in for Halloween, it was Juan Wick.
Juan Wick.
Yeah.
Okay. RaGu BaGu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here.
You got it?
And I don't.
I got it for you. Don't worry, dude.
Let's go.
We have Zero and the Adjudicator from 3 at number 1. We have Santino, Aries, and Common from number 2. And then we have Yosef, Vigo, and Dog Killers All Around the World from 1.
Oh.
Where do we want to put the marquee?
Which one was 0? Who was that in John Wick 3?
Cool sword guy, right?
Oh, the guy that was annoying who was like, I'm your best friend. That guy.
Mark Dukakis.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
He was great.
Only the strong. He was great.
This is a tough one, man.
It is. I go number 1.
Because I think that like Bill Skarsgård's performance is the best of all of these villains. I just don't know if. I wish there were more like outsmarty moments, you know, and I shouldn't expect that because John Wick doesn't really do that. We're not getting like the big twists like in Mission Impossible movies, but I just think him as an actor, he's probably the best actor of all of these, and I think he played a good enough villain. I just don't know if there were enough like big enough moments that I could focus in on and say like, man, remember this sequence though.
See, for me, I think that the villain works so well in this because it was a simple setup. Like we knew it was going to end in a duel, and that duel was satisfying. And then on top of that, all the fetch quests and side missions, like the mini bosses and bad guys they had, I was really into.
Right.
So I feel like this one villain wise fulfilled the
Gold
promise
teeth.
and potential. Yeah, like just so much like fun, the right type of gimmicky stuff that I'd put it at number one as an overall because I think all of them there's great moments and great characters in each of these, but I think that this one had consistently I enjoyed all the bad guys or all the antagonists, all the fight scenes they had. If you count Donnie Yen for some of it,
You do.
like,
I mean, he is an antagonist.
yeah, and the tracker, I'm like, with all that stuff added up, I'm like, yeah, it's number one.
You're right. I would put it at number one because I don't remember the adjudicator being that amazing.
Well, and I think for a lot of the other villains, it's more of like a puppet master than like them actually being like actively a villain, where it's just like they're part of the system. And that's kind of what they do.
Yeah.
Which is not as satisfying, I think, as Bill Skarsgård.
Well, it's interesting because I like that, and again, that's kind of where the Bill Skarsgård differentiates himself. It feels like there's a vendetta here, and it's personal. And while that's fun for the character to play, I kind of miss the fact that there's just this system out there. Even remember the adjudicator's like, I don't really care what's going on here. You've just broken the rules, and it's my job to enforce this. And like, it's the ball is rolling no matter what. Like, there's nothing the adjudicator could have done to have stopped it. I kind of like that ominous presence of like, John fucked up. There's no way out of this. The rules are the rules. And in this one, we kind of break from that because Bill Skarsgård's like, I'm gonna just do whatever I want to do. Yeah, there's ego attached to it, which prior to this, there necessarily wasn't. But I will, if we're counting Donnie Yen as one of the bad guys, come on, he's number one. He's so fucking fun to watch in this movie, and he is a bad guy. So put it there. I say
you're totally right. Like I know that Donnie Yen has that turn at the end, and we know why he's doing this, and we know he's in a bad situation. But you know, we also had to see him kill Akira's dad, and
it was rough, but he didn't want to.
He didn't want to.
And again, Koji could have walked away, but you're like, no, can't do it. Gotta push it out there.
Shout out to Common though. He was so good.
Shout out to Common, for sure. Yeah, so there we have it. Number one is
listeners, I was doing the silenced pistol moment
from the subway,
in the subway scene. Yeah,
RaGu BaGu for number one. For number one is John Wick 4, then John Wick 3, then 2, then 1. They just keep getting better.
Also, Roger was reminding me that Willem Dafoe is in John Wick 1, which I absolutely did not remember.
Yeah,
that's right.
So funny.
Yeah,
I don't remember John Wick 2 at all.
John Wick 2 is awesome.
What the heck happened to that one?
So now it's time to rank the John Wick movies. Currently, our rankings are 1, 3, 2.
Oh, that was Common. Okay.
this is
One.
Oh man,
So John Wick 1, 3,
3,
and
2. Me and you got outvoted where we like 2 the best.
I like 2
but-
the most.
Yeah.
I love 3.
Parabellum's
It was you
fucking
and I,
bad
yeah.
at the bone, dude. With the dogs climbing up buildings to eat people.
Fucking so sick.
So
I-
cool.
Kevin also didn't. I don't.
He's
think,
just
like
so
the
hard
dogs.
to
Yeah,
rank, man.
so fucking hard. Honestly, I love these movies all so much. I think this is my number one, and I think that if I could only watch one John Wick for the rest of time, I'd be okay if it was this one. because they just delivered.
I saw a couple tweets that I think were perfect where they were mentioning like, man, if they took the second act from this movie and the first act from this movie and the third act from this movie, like we would have like the best of John Wick movie.
Yeah.
I would probably have to agree with Tim only because like I don't think 2 should be that low. I'm in that weird spot. All these movies are fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I would put this at number 1 because I just think it was breathtaking to witness. Like the second half of this movie, I think, is just so incredibly strong, and it was again relentless.
I agree with Andy that all of these movies are like excellent, and like it's really like splitting hairs, honestly, to kind of rank these. I would probably put this under 3. I just really love 3. And I think that we get a little bit more like a way stronger plot and like world building in that This one is just like almost purely just action, action, action. And I feel like I was missing a little bit of that from this.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Joe. Like, I like the other areas. I like the world building of 3 a little bit more. I feel like this one kind of pushed it a little too far in a little too places. Too many places. Having said that, fuck me, that dragon's breath sequence was something I've never seen before. And I think that John Wick is about those action sequences. It's really about kind of like building the lore a little bit and pushing the envelope when it comes to that. And there's just no denying that the sequences in this were like, with the exception of the knife room, which is the one sequence that really sticks out to me of being like, this is fucking bonkers. I think the last 3 sequences we see in this movie are just some of the coolest things that have ever been recorded. So I probably would put this at number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1.
The more I think of it, Tim, it's like, I think this like exclude the fights, the Dragon's Breath top down sequence, and I think this movie's action moments can go toe to toe with any of the other action sequences in any of the other movies. I think they're like all that good, but the top down action, the top down Dragon's Breath sequence, I think is the best thing in any of these movies. Like it's the best. The fact that they introduced this 4 movies in is bonkers to me, and it was absolutely like it. You had the perfect word for it, Nick. It was mesmerizing. Like I at so many moments, Tim looked at us and started clapping. And like before you did that, Tim, I was like so close to standing up and being like, "Holy fuck, man, this is incredible!"
They did it. They just freaking did it.
Yeah.
So our rankings are number 1, John Wick 4, number 2, John Wick 1, number 3, John Wick 3, and number 4, John Wick 2. Go to a theater this weekend. Watch this movie.
See this movie.
It is
see it
such
again.
an experience. Oh, I can't wait to see it again. What a special time to be alive. We're going to be reviewing so many movies the rest of this year. Like I keep saying, every franchise out there is getting a sequel this year, and we're going to be adding it back into our in review. It's going to be a great time overall. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of John Wick Chapter 4. Until next time, love you all. Goodbye.
We'll be thinking we're back.